Chapter 221, Royal Capital Disturbance Hero. Royal Capital Disturbance Hero. Why in the world it become like this? Currently, that wasn't what in Masayuki's mind. Masayuki, Masayuki. Masayuki stood inside the people's cheers. Then, he tilted his neck diagonally as he was instructed to, and directed his sight downward. In about 2 seconds, he turned his face to the front slowly and meets the people's gazes. Only doing so, the increasing level of people's excitement can be felt. It was very effective to the extent of being terrifying. As expected, it's as Rimuru-san says. That's right. Masayuki's gesture just now was the result of his training under Rimuru's guidance. Grasping the people's minds, the effect of unique skill the chosen one has increased due to the calculated gesture instead of solely relying on the skill. It can't be helped for Masayuki to trembling with fear as the influence was beyond than what he expected. He just received a bit acting lesson, but the effect was too overwhelming. As soon as Masayuki turned his gaze over, the people closed their mouths. Quietly, like the waves, silence descended to this place. It was already a sight that he saw so many times. Actually, for Masayuki. Before visiting the Ingrassia Kingdom, he visited several countries around Great Jura Forest and had calmed down similar mayhem. Before the Great War begins, Masayuki was called by Rimuru and had received a request. With a carefree tone, Rimuru asked him please persuade the people in each country so they will not cause a riot. No, it's impossible for me. What are you saying, Masayuki-kun? You can do it. No, only you can do it. After such conversation, he was coaxed with don't worry. If it's you, you can do anything as you please. After that, he received a bit acting lesson. From the pose before the speech and the movement of his eyes during the speech, everything was drawn in detail in the memo given to him. Also, Kyufu. As expected from Masayuki Dono, it's splendid. You seem to better than a demon at grasping people's minds, you have my admiration. He gets praised by Diablo, the demon itself. He was not happy at all, but Masayuki warded off that feeling with a complicated smile. However, for some reason, Diablo was strangely pleased with Masayuki. That's right. If you are going to many countries, you will need an escort. Saying so, Diablo summoned his trusted subordinate named Venom and arranged him to accompany Masayuki. Thanks to that, his traveling to many countries was shortened due to transfer magic. On the second day, even when Velda declared that Rimuru was defeated, Masayuki was making a speech without worrying about it. In a small country, in front of the trembling populace, Masayuki was able to clear the people's anxiety very smoothly. It was because Rimuru had irresponsibly told him by some chance, I might die once, I leave the rest to you, so this and that. Venom who was accompanying him too. What Even though Diablo-sama is safe, for some reason I can't contact him. But, I can't see that Masa's presence too, I'm sure that he was doing something stealthily by Diablo-sama's order. Said so and shrugged his shoulders. There was no sign of him worried at all. Certainly, if Rimuru was really destroyed, his subordinates would act more recklessly. Because Masayuki was strangely convinced, he stopped thinking about it deeply. Speaking of convinced, this also applied to Venom. For some reason, Masayuki mysteriously gets along with him. When Diablo introduced Venom to Masayuki for the first time, Venom wore an over-the-top combat clothes. Can you manage it somehow? I'm supposed to be the hero though. That's right. Then, I would better if you come with me. So, after leaving Rimuru's place, it has been decided for Venom to change clothes and both of them were going to the armor shop. At that time they conversed, but it was a talk about an unexpected thing. I guess I have a feeling that I lived in the same world as you before. So, Venom frankly speaking, Masayuki thinks that he might be a reincarnated person. And so, he was lectured about various clothes. He asked the craftsman and got the clothes finished with the illustration that Masayuki had drawn. It was a bit of punk fashion, but strangely it looks good on Venom. Because Venom's hair is like a mohawk, it seems to be his rule to not wear a helmet. He was like a biker gang from somewhere, so Masayuki wanted to tsukumai, but compared to how he first dressed, Masayuki thinks this one is better. Because he's a demon, he doesn't need any kind of armor, but appearance was important. Hey, aren't you have a good sense on this? Can I trouble you for it from now on? Ah, I'm glad if you liked it. His illustration that makes Venom bring out a delinquent-like atmosphere is mixed with a bit of joke, but it seems that it becomes his best favorite. It seems that he felt like he worn such clothes in his former life. That became the impetus of how Venom and Masayuki became friends. His appearance was better when compared to his previous demonic appearance, and so, Masayuki introduced Venom to his 5 companions. Oh. Have you also been charmed by Masayuki-sama's greatness? Well, of course. After all, Masayuki is a cool and wonderful person. It's because he is exuding the aura of a hero. Oh well, pleased to be with you from now on. His companions say such thing unanimously. As for Masayuki, he seems to want to say before, rather than charmed by me, people would go away though. There was no one who noticed such feelings from Masayuki among his companions. Every time, they believed Masayuki like a god. Still, recently, they gradually become friendlier and frank little by little. According to Rimuru Aranti, they come to be able to resist the effect of your unique skill. With this impetus, Masayuki wanted everyone to notice the truth soon. Putting that aside, Masayuki was glad that his companions get along with Venom. Afterwards, they requested the cooperation of the adventurers of Tempest to prevent disorder, and they scattered to each country before the Great War begins. Although it was due to Rimuru's commission, the adventurers joyfully departed to various places due to Masayuki's request, who received an acting lesson. After that, until now, including Venom, the 7 of them went around various places. And now, Masayuki, who wore shining golden armor and his whole body glowed with light, was bathed in people's eyes. He gradually became accustomed to the feeling of tension, and now he can naturally accept it. It might be the result of his regular practice following Rimuru's memo for the acting and stuff. What I'm saying, it looks like the timing I aimed. Anything but that, please, so Masayuki thinks. Although he has accustomed to tension, Masayuki was still a timid guy. Such timing like a hero, Masayuki thought that role was not for someone like him. However, he had no one even if he wanted to complain. It can't be helped, he decided to finish this place. Everyone, please settle down. Calmly, and please tell me what happened here. Masayuki began to talk gently. Talk slowly without panicking. Even if you talk bit your tongue or somewhat stuttering, don't worry cause you can correct it. Wasn't it? Masayuki recalled the memo he had read for so many times in his mind, and he thinks there's no intense gaze coming from the citizens. Due to Masayuki's calm words, the people who calmed down regained their calm mind. In the first place, why did Hinata fight against Reiner? Although it's a fact that the king was assassinated, was the criminal really Hinata? Such doubt recurs in the people's hearts. And even for Masayuki. No, really, in this situation, what on the earth was going on? Which side is correct or wrong? Which side is the correct one I should ally with? He was actually quite perplexed. He knew about Hinata. Masayuki reached the point where he's called as the hero of the West, but he was frequently compared with Hinata, who is the Holy Knight leader. He had heard people argued which side is stronger as they please. Masayuki remembered Rimuru had said Masayuki-kun. If you seriously fight her, it'd be better to run away instead. Like it was natural. She's such cool-headed and dangerous woman. But, he said that she wouldn't take a meaningless action. In contrast to Reiner, when Masayuki received the victory prize of the fighting tournament he participated in the Ingrassia Kingdom, he felt that he was a close aide to the king. He thinks that he's probably that person at that time, Masayuki wasn't sure. Either way, it's certain that he's an important figure in the country. Which side is the correct side he should side with? It was a very difficult problem. If he interferes unskillfully, the mask of the hero that he played with great effort would come off. If it happened, Masayuki was thinking to run away and return to Tempest, but he was anxious that not completing Rimuru's request would be a problem. Rimuru aside, he didn't think that it would end just with Diablo and other uttering sarcasm. Masayuki wanted to clear this place somehow smoothly. He understood it well, that's related to saving his own skin. However, the situation changed without caring about Masayuki's troubles. Oh my, isn't it Hiro Masayuki Dano? It's been a while, I'm Reiner. Do you remember me? It's Reiner, the leader of Guard Knight Order. Currently I'm. Reiner began to say something. As expected, Masayuki's memory is correct, he was the knight leader who standing beside the king. Then, is the correct answer to ally with him maybe? Isn't it bad if I'm hostile against Hinata though? He didn't know that Hinata had lost her power, although she's still stronger than Masayuki. Masayuki's mind is in turmoil. But, not caring about Masayuki's problem, the conversation continued. And then, it began to show a turbulent development. Masayuki-sama. Please somehow forgive me. The king, I'm the one who lay my hands on the king. Interrupting Reiner's words, one of the soldiers come running and prostrating in front of Masayuki. I don't know what he's talking about. Masayuki wanted to reconfirm it so he's not moving carelessly. What are you blabbering about? Reiner was angry. He tries to cut down the soldier, but the children blocked him and disturbed Reiner's action. In addition. Ha 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 ha. It's the end, I'm ruined. For some reason, Prince Elric began to confess his wrongdoing. With the testimony of the soldier who obeyed the prince's order in order to help his sick family and the confession of the prince himself, all relevant facts of the case have mostly been confirmed. This and that is all due to Masayuki's ability. Actually, Masayuki, who didn't realize it yet, has awakened a new ability. Its name is Unique Skill Messiah, Savior. It was the result of him following the memo that given to him by Rimuru, or rather it was Seal. The ability of Unique Skill Messiah, just as its name implies, was salvation. It urged the mind of the target of their crime and makes them act to attain salvation. That's realized mostly in the form of confessing their sin. This time, only the people who reacted to Masayuki's words became the target. That's triggered when Masayuki asked the explanation of what happened here. It was a terrifying ability that was convenient for Masayuki eternally. This ability of Masayuki was naturally able to be resisted by a high-ranking person. Therefore, Reiner was barely affected. Prior to that, to begin with, Reiner was Kehihai, Kehihai, Kehiha. I'll kill you. I'll kill you all. His mind was already in abnormal state. Reiner's bloated pride was repainted with revenge and hatred when he committed the failure in the council and tasted dread from Shana. And now, while raising a strange laughter, Reiner turned his sword towards Masayuki. He aimed at me. In a panic, Masayuki also put his hand on his sword. Actually, Masayuki's ability had increased considerably. Training in the labyrinth had raised Masayuki's strength. However, even so, Masayuki thought that he's at disadvantage against his opponent, who is the strongest knight of the Ingrassia kingdom, which is one of the large countries. How sad, for us to only able to talk through sword. He said so while giving him a side glance, as shown in his memo. Although the people seemed to be impressed by it, Reiner didn't. Die. While shouting, Reiner charged towards Masayuki. Masayuki-anshin, finish that guy off. Please show us coolly. The children's cheering was painful to his ear. Why on the earth they're so convinced that I'm strong? Although I'm protecting Hinata, please protect me too. He recalled several times that the children who were training in the labyrinth doing training for a special move. He talked about fantasy special moves such as Eternal Frozen Sword or Evil Annihilation Sword, but it seems that they thought he can really use them. Although at that time Masayuki was stronger, the children showed an abnormally rapid growth. Blessed with master class teachers like Hakura and Ajira, they were now slightly stronger than Masayuki. And yet, they still believed that Masayuki was stronger. Masayuki, who received such respect from the children, was unable to step back. Damn it. If it comes to this, I feel I'm going to die. Masayuki steeled himself. Reiner was approaching. And, at the time Reiner's sword was about to reach Masayuki, a person stood in front of Masayuki. That person was Hinata. Can you leave this guy to me? Saying so, Hinata sprouted a beautiful smile towards Masayuki. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 222, Royal Capital Disturbance Sudden Change. Royal Capital Disturbance Sudden Change. Hinata stood up while gazing at Reiner coldly. There's no trace of gentleness in her eyes, it was buried completely by the color of contempt. Hi Hinata-sama, are you alright? Can't you leave the matter to Masayuki Dano? Nicholas called out Hinata, but she didn't respond. Masayuki heard Nicholas' word, but he stiffened as though he was startled. On Hinata's mouth, there's a small smile. It was a frightening smile, reminiscent of the former Hinata. No, there's no problem. That's right. There's no problem. Everything was as expected. Rather than answering Nicholas, Hinata muttered instinctively to feel convinced that what she thought is correct. In fact, it's true. Hinata had believed in his guess and went along with it. That's right. Hinata had seen everything up to this result. In a word, everything was as she expected. Even when she was tormented by Reiner, all were expected events. Actually, these days Hinata had been attacked by an intense sense of déjà vu. She could see a scene from a few seconds to a few minutes ahead as if she had experienced it. She experienced the same thing several times, she was convinced that it was the experience of a bit later in the future. This time luckily, although it may not be so she was tormented by Reiner, she had been able to see the scene where he cut her limbs and gouged out her eyes. As expected, it's difficult to restore cut limbs, though it's not amusing if the face was wounded. That's Hinata's thought. Her face, which was clean of injury, was unnatural. It's not because Reiner going easy on her, the correct answer was because Hinata had evaded all of the attacks. As for her limbs, she normally received the attacks, to the extent of her tendons was cut. She was able to do this, and that because she knew the future. And so, Hinata's victory condition wasn't to survive until the truth was exposed to the people, it's for the people taking shelter in the church to not be harmed. In case she poorly resisted, the knight under Reiner's command would start attacking the church. It was one of the possible futures that she saw. Is the cause because I'm connected with Chloe's soul? I don't think it's my ability after all. With a terrifying accuracy, Hinata sees the fact. Due to a small connection with Chloe, a fragment of Chloe's ability had shown memory of the future to Hinata. However, Hinata was indifferent to such thing. The important thing is only the reality that led to the best results. As things going as Hinata planned, Reiner, the subject of scorn, is in front of her. He was the man who tormented her until now, she has no sympathy at the slightest for him. Well then. Did you say your name is Reiner? You wanted to fight me, right? Very well, I shall fight you seriously. Hinata sprouts a smile full of kindness and look on Reiner. However, her eyes are cold. Damn you. I'll kill you and also that hero. I'm the strongest, the result is obvious. I'll slaughter everyone who knows about the matter. Reiner shouted with a mind full of madness. And then he raised his sword, charging towards Hinata. Without panicking, Hinata raised her rapier. Unlike the one-sided torment a while ago, there's no need for her to hold back now. She evaded the big slash from Reiner's sword, and without hesitation, she stabbed his foot. Gyae! Reiner screamed. Due to the intense pain, he recovered a bit of his sense. What the heck is this pain? Reiner was grinding his teeth as he felt an abnormal pain. He couldn't conceal his confusion as the skill pain perception blockade that he hadn't shown its effect. The damage was not a big deal, but there's no sign of any injury. Yufu. Is it painful? Raise your voice more and entertain me more. With an expression of ecstasy, Hinata moistened her lips with her bewitching tongue. Nicholas and Fritz sent a hot gaze towards current Hinata. As one would expect, it's only Leonard who grieved due to it. Hinata-sama. Your image just improved with a lot of trouble, it's spoiled now. Certainly, her image was spoiled, but her gesture brings forth some wild enthusiastic fans. That suited Hinata very well. Because it reminded people that the strong predate the weak. Hinata started pursuing Reiner without showing any behavior of minding the response of the surroundings. Afraid of the attack which caused him intense pain even if it just grazed him, Reiner naturally fought defensively. You bastard. Enchanting the sword with magic is unfair. Reiner accuses foul-mouthed. However, Hinata only showing a smile, she didn't respond to Reiner's accusation. Because it's a fact, she didn't intend to deny it. Moreover, enchanting her sword with magic was not a bad reason either. Her sword is a unique class magic sword. Hinata's spiritual armaments were transferred to Chloe, leaving her with nothing. Even if she borrowed a mass-produced type spiritual armament before, she didn't have enough power to activate it. At that time, this rapier was sent by Rimuru. It's called Phantom Pain, Phantom Rainbow Spirit Sword. It was a sword with abilities that could be said the upgraded version of the magic sword Hinata used before. Naturally, it's possible to use it to cause the opponent to die in the 7th attack like Dead End Rainbow. If it's the former sword, it was to destroy the spiritual body at the 7th strike. But, the sword given by Rimuru was frighteningly able to destroy even the astral body. Originally it's a legend class weapon, but it has been readjusted so Hinata able to use it. The one before can't be compared with the performance of this one. Even I who lose my power can use it. While slightly admiring it, Hinata was satisfied with the sword's ability. And then she narrowed her eyes and sent a cruel smile towards Reiner. Right now, she already hit Reiner with 5 attacks. It's possible to kill him immediately in the next 2 attacks, but she thought it would be not interesting. And, even in such situation this sword is useful. Well, let's wrap it soon. I'm tired of seeing your unpleasant face. Telling Reiner so, Hinata raised her sword. Do don't underestimate me, you female fox. There's no way for me to be defeated by the likes of you. Reiner shouted with squeaky voice while he swung his sword. Don't think I'll be so kind and let you live because you're a woman become mincemeat. Violent decapitating slash wave. The power of the high-speed rotation produced by Reiner's trained body was transmitted through the sword. The target hit by the impact would be pulverized. Surely, a person who receives it will be turned into pieces of meat. It was the strongest attack Reiner can bring out. However, how naive. It's only of this level. Reiner's attack slipped through Hinata who was sneering. It was Hinata's afterimage. Blood rose to Reiner's head as he fell to the beginner trick that Hinata used. I'm impossible. Goodbye. Please die and taste the eternal suffering in these 3 minutes. Dead End Pain. Reiner unwillingly tasted the true power of Hinata who he underestimated as a weak person. Coupled with the surprise of his strongest attack missed, he was unable to react to Hinata's attack. Hinata's blow accurately pierced through Reiner's heart. Only this extent. With my body recovery X, I can regenerate even a heart. And then, I will no longer forgive this woman. I'll kill you, you female fox. Reiner admonished himself for being careless and swore to seriously kill Hinata next time. However. What? Why the pain? Reiner tried to activate his body recovery X to restore the wound he received, but the ability won't active. Not just that skill, even the effect of the skill of the body control series such as Pain Sense Blockade Physical Condition Control had also disappeared. Guji Yeuu. Reiner was gasping and writhing in pain. For a long time, Reiner didn't feel pain due to the effect of Pain Perception Blockade, but now he felt intense fear and suffering. That's one of the abilities of Hinata's weapon. Dead End Pain which activate at the time of the 6th attack. After sealing off the enemy's abilities, the effect of complete destruction of the spiritual body began after 3 minutes. It was a frightening ability which wouldn't let the enemy fall to madness and kill them while making them feel despair and pain. The pain of their soul destroyed is not physical pain. A person who received this attack might felt the 3 minutes as if it's an eternity. Good night. Have a good dream. Hinata spoke gently like putting Reiner to sleep. And then, Hinata gazes at Reiner who writhing in agony with a satisfied feeling. Oh well. The pain that I received, I had returned it back 10,000 times. Satisfied, Hinata loses her interest in Reiner. The pain was not repaid back 10,000 times, but Hinata didn't really care. Anyway, the hopeless situation was averted. That's most important than anything else. Rolling on the ground, Reiner was screaming. However, no one tried to help him. The soldiers who were instigated by Reiner and the prince were also unable to determine to correct action as they tried to understand the situation. With the appearance of hero Masayuki, who is the hero of the people, the public opinion had gone away from Reiner and co. The prince's confession was decisive. Being the royal family's guard is the duty of the guard knights, but there's no reason for them to defend a regicide. In this place, there's no one who swore their loyalty to Prince Elric. At the same time, it's obvious there's no righteousness in their leader, Reiner. What we should do now? The knights and soldiers were trembling. Seeing everyone currently, as the chance has arrived, Masayuki stands up. Everyone. Which side is correct, and which side is wrong? I think it's obvious if you look at this spectacle. If all of you are wise, all of you will know the correct answer even if I don't say it. Please, I want you all to believe in that answer. I also want to believe in everyone. Actually, Masayuki still had hesitation. The development was too fast, he didn't catch up with the situation. However, his instinct told him that this is the biggest chance to lead the people opinion. So as not to be his own opinion, he decided to induce the people with provisional wording. It's perfect. Like this, even if I make a mistake, I won't be blamed. Masayuki was praising himself inside his mind. Oh, Masayuki-sama is trusting us. What have we done? If we must to meet Masayuki-sama's expectation. In response to Masayuki's words, the knights threw away their sword and kneeled. Their act shows that they have no hostility against Masayuki. Seeing the knights like that, relieved mood begins to flow through the people. And then, Hiro-sama seemed to have straightened out the problem. The prince have the king. But, luckily we have hero Masayuki-sama. The mastermind is the knight leader, Reiner. That's mean, Hinata-sama is. But, it's Masayuki-sama who see the truth and save Hinata-sama from the predicament. As expected from Hiro-sama. In this way, naturally, Masayuki's exploits had increased. It spread quickly among the people. Masayuki, Masayuki. It didn't take a long time for it to be the usual grand cheering. Masayuki raised one hand awkwardly to response the people while having stiff cheeks. He had teary eyes inside his mind. However, that was a usual occurrence too. After waiting for the place to quiet down, Hinata walked to Masayuki. And then she held out her right hand. I have been indebted to you. So, she requested a handshake from Masayuki. Masayuki felt nervous as he looked at Hinata closely due to her beauty. There were a lot of beautiful women in Tempest, but Hinata's pretty face had a different peculiar charm from them. Masayuki trying to respond Hinata's request and panicky rubbing his hands. But, as Masayuki was charmed by Hinata, he tripped by a pebble and like a skilled mime he fallen down on his feet. As the result, he felt a soft sensation on his right hand. And he felt hair smoothly tickling his cheek. A sweet smell that made his mind astray stimulates his nose. Why it becomes like this. To the rest of the event, Masayuki can't see the reality for a moment. Or rather, this feeling on my right hand, it's like touching a finest quality cushion, it can't be. That's right. Masayuki stumbled and just like that he pushed down Hinata. Carefully, his right hand was groping Hinata's plump breast. Even to this extent, he's a lucky pervert. However, it was Masayuki who feared that the result will be frightening. When Masayuki tried to stand up and making an excuse while his face turning pale. Huh? What just now? Masayuki realized that something passed over his head. He felt a shock as if something passed through the back of his head. Oh. From where did I get sniped? However, it was somewhat different from Masayuki's imagination. Masayuki realized that it was the shockwave that arrived late, not the attack. In other words, the attack passed with a little difference when Masayuki fell down. If Masayuki didn't get tripped by the pebble, his life would be gone. TCH. Impossible for you to evade my assassination. A person appeared in front of Masayuki and co., raising his astonished voice. A man who is dressed in black priest outfit, pure white wings sprouted from his back. He's the leader of the executioners, Arios. Masayuki was confused due to the appearance of an unfamiliar man. He's not able to catch up with the situation completely. However, Venom, who was guarding Masayuki, immediately responds to the situation. Well done, as expected from Masayuki. I have been vigilant, but sorry. I couldn't grasp any presence of that guy at all. Masayuki, you noticed him well. Saying those words, Venom came in front of Masayuki. Without noticing that Masayuki, who heard it, was turning pale. In fact, Venom was always scanning for any presences while guarding Masayuki. It didn't mean he let down his vigilance, but he couldn't catch the enemy's presence at all. In other words, the man in front of him was a very dangerous person. I don't know what your purpose is, but if you want to lay your hand on Masayuki, I'll be your opponent. It's alright, Masayuki. Yes. Masayuki nods instinctively. In the first place, Masayuki thinks that's unreasonable for him to fight the enemy. If Venom wanted to take his place, there's no reason for him to refuse. And, to Masayuki, who was still confused, he heard reliable voices. Masayuki and Chan, we also here. We will show growth here. If Masayuki-san watching, we can be relieved too. Unii-chan, please see Alice and Ko's efforts. Masayuki worried about how to reply to the children. He was wondering of letting the children to fight in this trip. But, the children are actually stronger than me. It can't be helped, right? In the end, he decided to approve them. Well, how long do you intend to groping my chest? Masayuki jumped back, panicking at that word. I am sorry. It's not on purpose. Masayuki can't make a good excuse, but his word is interrupted by Hinata. I understand. On the contrary, I want to thank you. That man was aiming at me, right? That said, Hinata was thanking Masayuki. Well, I didn't aim for it. I feeling relieved of what happened though. He wanted to say that, but Masayuki felt that destruction was waiting for him if he said it. He had no choice but to kept silent. Actually, Ario's target was Hinata. The reason was one. It was because Yuuki used to be worried about Hinata before. Although she was not special existence anymore, he was still anxious. He thought he should deal with her quickly as she was not a person worthy enough for him to kill. However, as he knew Reiner and Ko's plan, he tried to assassinate Hinata during the gap. Velda declared that don't aim at the royal capital. He didn't want to interfere as much as possible, but Reiner failed. Therefore, he thought that he would assassinate her in an instant and immediately withdraw. However, he failed. Masayuki's luck had thwarted the timing of Ario's plan. It can't be helped for things to be like this. Sadly, I'll have everyone dead. Shut up. I'm strong, you know? We have Masayuki here too. Venom responded to Ario's statement fearlessly. And so, the fight started quietly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 223, Royal Capital Disturbance Evacuation. Royal Capital Disturbance Evacuation. Behind Venom, who was fighting Arios, were the children who were also holding their weapons up with Kenya as their lead. Venom, without being roused up, started attacking Arios without worrying about the children. Naturally moving as if he was walking, he rushed at Arios like a cannonball, ignoring gravity and inertia. And he reached the maximum speed immediately, not giving time for Arios to prepare. Doom Enemy 1. The claws on Venom's hands grew longer and dyed in black. And while releasing Wave of Division, he approached Arios. However, how naive. Before anyone was aware, Arios was gripping a sword and swung it. His sword shone like it was releasing radiance and cut off Venom's claws with extreme speed. Arios' expression didn't change, as if it's a natural result. He looked at Venom just like looking at a bug. Such condescending behavior was that of an overwhelming powerful person to those who was weaker. However, his expression was distorted due to unexpected situation. Pain ran through Arios' arm. Haha, serve you right. Luckily, 2 of it stuck in right. Venom pointed it out and sprouting a smile. As what Venom said, 2 claws had stuck in Arios' arm. You bastard, is this your aim from the start? Nope, it isn't like that. I thought I'd kill you by the first strike. However, I thought that even if you grazed by one would be good. Well. I'm so lucky again today. You jester, I will no longer hold back then. Stupid. Fighting without holding back from the beginning, such a thing should be the basic you know. Towards Arios, who was dyed with anger, Venom was thoughtfully cheerful. However, in contrast to his attitude, there's no gap in his stance. With his cut claws already regenerated, Venom's consciousness focused on Arios. That's natural. From the exchange just now, Venom was convinced that Arios was an overwhelmingly powerful person. As I expected, there's something that I can't perceive even inside of where my surveillance are. Certainly, he's higher ranking than me. But, it's not because he's fast that I can't see his movement. That means that it was due to his ability that I can't detect him from the start. I'm sure my thinking isn't wrong. He's stronger than me, no doubt about it, but it's not like I can't win. In that case, it's so convenient. I will kill this guy and take that power. While fighting, Venom felt laughter almost spilled out from his mouth. Even if he defeats low-ranking enemies, he can't obtain more power. Therefore, he thought this time was a chance for him. It's a chance for him to defeat a high-ranked enemy and obtain more power. I'm lucky. Masayuki is here, this guy will become a high-quality food for me. If Arios' strength is comparable to the high-ranking people of Rimuru's closest aides, that's on Diablo's class, and if Arios has an isolation ability, Venom would have no chance to win. But, Venom noticed that Arios has no such ability. Now that Venom was able to percept Arios' movement, it probably meant that he couldn't use that ability. Arios was not an unreachable existence, Venom concluded so. Currently, Masayuki's ability had increased Venom's luck. It also exerted another effect on Venom, his strength increased unbelievably. He can evade an inevitable attack for some reason, an attack that unlikely to hit was able to hit. The evidence was the 2 poison claws stuck on Arios before. In this lucky state, he believes that poison that shouldn't work will have an effect. If that's so, there's no need to hesitate. Venom believed in himself and Masayuki, and was going to challenge Arios, who's stronger. Masayuki stands with his arms folded while watching Venom's fight. Honestly, rather than looking at it, he can understand the fight to some extent from the sparks that occurs once in a while. It's not a speed that can be followed by eyes, Masayuki's just pretending that he's watching. Or rather, I can't do anything like that, you know. Because it's no longer inside his area of understanding, the feeling of fear has weakened. Since Masayuki decided to entrust the fight completely to Venom, Masayuki thinks about what's going to happen later. The most important thing for Masayuki is his own safety. The children seem to wait for their chance to take part in the fight, and eagerly watching the fight between Venom and Arios. Turning his gaze to the children, Masayuki ponders. They are stronger than me. If that's so, I think it would be safer together. Or rather, why are they here? Masayuki finally feels the doubt about it. When Masayuki comes to the capital, the children had already saved Hinata from the crisis. Masayuki appeared at a good timing, in a favorable place, but he never aimed for that. It just happened that the timing matched with his arrival with his companions by Venom's transfer magic. It wasn't like they had acted together till then. Hey, Kenya. Why are you guys here? Although it's too late, Masayuki asks Kenya. Masayuki's behavior was too natural, like not thinking about the fight, although saying that he's ignoring as he can't see the fight won't be wrong in the people's eyes, but he didn't notice it. He felt he needs to ask the question for his safety later on. He wanted to withdraw from this dangerous place quickly, but he thought that he needs a reason for that. Unchan too. Actually, Alice is. With my ability Perceiver, Space Wiseman, 3, I somehow know that danger is approaching Hinata Oni-chan. Because Alice makes a racket, we somehow do it. For that reason, we came to help Hinata-san. We got stronger thanks to Hakura Shishao and Ajira Shishao's training, you know. Right now we might not lose to Masayuki and Chan. So, the children answer Masayuki's question together. What are they saying? From the start, they were stronger, you know. While thinking so, Masayuki consents with I see. I see, I didn't think that you guys would be here. We didn't think that Chan would come. Yes. But, if you didn't come, Hinata Oni-chan might have been killed. Oni-chan, thank you. Eh? Ah, I guess so. Well, no need to worry if I'm here. Masayuki feels the sweats flowing on his back increased to the unexpected overestimation. Aside from that, apparently, Masayuki concludes that the enemy's aim certainly to be Hinata. Well, what should I do? The enemy is aiming for Hinata-san, but I'm near her, so I would be in danger too. Masayuki thought so, but the children said that they came here to protect Hinata. He'd like to run away with transfer magic, but Venom is fighting. It was difficult to run away from this place. Although the enemy seems not going to interfere with the city and the citizens, the damage seemed to be massive due to stray attacks. While thinking so, Masayuki draws a conclusion that the safest place is next to Hinata, who the children will protect. Alright, then I'll be next to Hinata-san. Because I'll protect you in case of something up. Standing naturally next to Hinata, Masayuki spoke without any hesitation. But, that's not the only reason. Masayuki had something he wants to protect above all else. The warmth left in his right hand, that's right, the memory of the warmth and softness of Hinata's breast. Losing such wonderful things, I will never allow it. With Masayuki's intense determination, the effect of his ability increased to the maximum. While it's a unique skill, it's enough to reach the truth of the world. As the result, the space called Lucky Field 4, which gives tremendous blessing to people Masayuki considers as ally, expanded. That's unintended by Masayuki. As expected, that angel-like guy is beyond my capabilities. I can barely follow the movements. Compared to that, your friend is amazing. He can somehow fight against that guy. Truly amazing. Hinata nods to Masayuki's word. And then she continues. Well then, let's us do the thing that we can do now. I think that will be helping the people escape from this place. Nicholas, we will spread defense barrier in this place. Sealing the after effect of that fight, it will become the people's shield. She shouts with vigor. Based on that girl's belief, Hinata started to do what can be done now. She doesn't think of an outrageous thing such as she wanted to save everyone, but helping people that need help in front of her. That's the way Hinata lived. That's the thing that led to confidence. Hinata understood that well. With pleasure. Understood, Hinata-sama. Leave it to me. Responding to her are Nicholas, Leonard, and Fritz. Following Hinata's orders, the three ran to three sides. And then, a square with Hinata as the top is formed. And so, with 4 Holy Knight class people, the defense barrier was spread. Holy Field will be effective if the enemy is a monster, but this time there's Venom here and the enemy has the appearance of an angel. If they're carelessly put Holy Attribute Barrier, it will be a hindrance instead. With that in mind, they chose Material Shield, Holy and Magic Defense Barrier. It was a barrier with the purpose to block explosion, impact, heat, etc., that's all elements. Thus, Hinata plans to temporarily earn some time for the people to escape. In line with Hinata's action, Hinata Oni-chan will also help. Alice said so and synchronized the effect of Space Barrier of Unique Skill Perceiver with Hinata and Ko's barrier. As the result, the material shield deployed by Hinata and Ko was reinforced greatly. Looking at that, Gale went out ahead. Well, I think my unique skill cultivator, Reclamator, 5 will be useful. Gale's unique skill cultivator was originally an ability suitable for agriculture, but depending on how to use it, it was an excellent ability with various applications. Interfering with the earth, Gale covers the plaza on the people side with soils that turned hard. Gale synchronized with the spirit of earth. On that moment a protective wall as strong as steel was completed. A wall instantly appeared in front of the people. Naturally, the people were shaken. After Gale are Kenya and Ryota. Alrighty. We will knock down that guy. My eyes have gradually accustomed and become able to see that guy's movement. I don't think Masayuki and Chan's turn will come. We're also quite trained. However, it's reassuring that Masayuki-san is watching us. Saying such words, Kenya and Ryota participated in the fight. Ah. When it's dangerous, I'll protect you both. Kenya and Ryota replied with a nod. I never decided so though. So Masayuki thought. As it becomes like this, Masayuki has no other choice but to believe that Venom and the children will defeat the enemy. It's a miscalculation for Masayuki that Kenya and Ryuta participated in the fight. He thought that they will keep protecting Hinata. However, the cornerstone of the defense, that's Gale and Alice, are still here. Hinata and Ko's barrier seems to have been reinforced, although it's not going as Masayuki has planned originally. His safety is secured for the time being. Like this, it would be better not to make an unnecessary move. Masayuki made a decision and decided to deal with the remaining trouble quickly. That's the gaze of the people around the place. Because Masayuki is Masayuki, he wants the people to go somewhere quickly. Everyone, please calm down and leave the plaza. If there's a place where you can take refuge in. Masayuki is trying to keep the people away while showing his cool side to Hinata. His plan is one. When the situation turns worst, he will run away. He thought that to make it easy for him to escape at any times, having fewer people here is better. However, the people received his words in another meaning. Hiro-sama, he is worried about us. Idiot, it's different. We are in his way. If he's fighting seriously, we'll get involved. Is that so? So that's why he let the small apprentices fight. That's right. If Masayuki-sama himself fights, there's no doubt he'll win. But then, we will get hurt too. We're hindrances to him. Well, like that. Naturally, they misunderstood Masayuki's true motive. Everyone, please run to the royal castle. There's a large-scale barrier set up in that place. Although the Angel's army will come to attack it, it will take time for the barrier to break. In order to let Hirodano to fight freely, a smooth evacuation will be better. A man suggested so towards the people who try to flee from the plaza. That man is Prince Elric, who confessed his own crime. His face is like someone who had been released from evil spirit's grasp, his eyes are of a person who prepared and decide to accept anything. Prince. Even the knights are surprised for a moment. Everyone. Did you hear it? Please move calmly, there's enough space for everyone in the castle. So there's no one injured by panic, please leave this place calmly. Leave the rest to Hiro-sama. One of the knights issued instructions to the people with a large voice. And then that knight ordered to the soldiers who were bewildered by the turn of the events to guide the populace and prepare to receive them in the castle. Apparently, the man was the knight order's vice leader. Receiving the order, the knights promptly started to move. Attached to them, the soldiers also began to move. People began moving like water from the plaza. We need to evacuate quickly so Masayuki-sama will be able to actively taking part in the fight, with that in their hearts. Thus, there were only a few people left in this place. 1. Mesutsubunden ha, Dumu enemy, the kanji means annihilating, dividing, crush / tear. 2. It's a contraction from Ani, elder brother. Just like Aniki. 3. Sora / Kuu Shikisha, Kidzoku Mano, the kanji can mean sky, void, empty, space. Shikisha equals well-informed person, wise man. Kidzoku equals to notice, to recognize, to perceive. Mano equals person, so the one who perceives / notice equals perceiver. 4. Kaun Ryuki, Rocky Firado, lucky / fortune domain. 5. Zuzaisha, Tagayasu Mano, someone who reclaim / clear / prepare field / land. Tagayasu equals to till / plow / cultivate equals the one who till / plow / cultivate land equals cultivator. Feel free to suggest better name. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 224, Royal Capital Disturbance Defeat. Royal Capital Disturbance Defeat. Venom and Ario's fight continued in the plaza outside the church. The outlook was bad for Venom. The difference in their strength can't be covered with just luck, but it could be said that he'd been fighting pretty well. TCH. As I expected, this is hard. Venom thought so while regenerating the left arm that had been cut. At this rate, his defeat was just a matter of time. It hadn't been 3 minutes since the fight started. However, he could sense that the people had begun evacuating from the place. Venom guessed that Masayuki had conducted it well. He buying some time seemed to be turning out well. Well now. To defeat this guy, my power is definitely not enough. If there's some kind of chance. Even though he knew that the situation is getting worse gradually, he has no other choice but to continue with the intense offense and defense. In order to break from this situation, Venom needs to think of a plan. We're late, but we'll help. I will try my best not to hold you down. The arrival of Kenya and Ryota changed the situation. You kids, I don't want to be hated by Ajira, so don't die. Venom shouted while dealing with Ario's attack. To be honest, Venom was irritated of the idea of borrowing the children's power. However, his defeat is just a matter of time, so it's not the time to complain. Both of them are strong. Well, I will use them. That was what Venom really thinks. I get it. Shishao has said it many times. Yeah. If we died here without his permission, Shishao would probably kill you. The two said so. And then. For that reason, let's go all out. Kenya, we're using that. Yeah. Spiritual armament reforged activate. Glittering lights wrapped both Kenya and Ryota. And then, the arms they got from Rimuru were worn on their body. It was the armor that Rimuru made with Hinata's spiritual armaments as the reference. Its performance is better than the unique class spiritual armament used by the Holy Knight, but it hasn't reached legend class. However, it could be said that the arms will grow according to the growth of the person who wearing it. It's the newest product that should be called as advanced weapon, evolving type arms. Above all else, the equipment has good compatibility with the children who integrated with spirit in their body. Although Rimuru had experimented and made a lot as a hobby and it will go wasteful lying around, such is the reason why he gave it to the children. He would never imagine that it would be useful in this place. Arios seemed to perceive the danger, as there was a slight impatience in his expressionless face. So does Venom. Heh, those kids. They have almost the same energy amount as me. I thought they might be strong, but to be this extent. Venom was amazed. In fact, Ryota is about half of Venom's. As for Kenya, Venom felt the energy is almost equal to his. Their skill is trained by Ajira. Venom finds a good chance to win with the reinforcement that's stronger than he thought. And so the fight will be fiercer. While watching the children's participation, Hinata muttered. It can't be, spiritual armaments? That is the church's secret arms that can't be used by Holy Knight unless they were loved by the spirits for it to be easily mass-produced, as expected from the abnormal demon lord Rimuru. Her impression was mixed with surprise and admiration. Everyone from the church have a similar expression with Hinata. Apart from Nicholas who is a magician, Leonard and Fritz were lost for words. Naturally, it's because looking at 12 or 13 years old children showing more fighting power than a Holy Knight. Above all else. Moreover, Elemental Knight, Spirit Knight, is it? My master, Izawa Shizue had talked about the ultimate fusion form of human and spirit. Neither Shizu-san nor I can reach it, the strongest knight. Is that the appearances of those with Hero's egg hatched? Surpassing the Holy Knight, humanity's strongest knight the Elemental Knight. Well done Masayoki Dano, you trained those children splendidly. Rather than my training, I'd said it's those children's power. When such topic suddenly brought up, Masayuki hurriedly denied it. What I taught to them is just special move poses I saw in manga. How can it be called as a training? Masayuki denied it while being tired with the same flow of event. Ha ha ha, don't be so humble. Even if you didn't say it, everyone knows it. Saying anything is useless, so it's reflected in his companions' faces as Masayuki trying to hiding his embarrassment. And, the same excitement runs through those who heard the conversation, quickly hope rises inside them. To Hiro Masayuki's companions. To the people who evacuating. To the knights and soldiers who guide the populace. Do you hear it? They seem to be stronger than Hinata-sama who is the strongest holy knight. Hiro? Are those children Hiro too? They are Hiro Masayuki's apprentice. So a hero's apprentice is also a hero. Then there's no need to be scared of just a single angel, right? What, it's not a big deal, right? Stupid. That's wrong. Hiro Masayuki-sama is amazing, you know. I see, that's right. As expected of Masayuki-sama. And so, like this, the people's anxiety dissolved with great speed. As a result, the people who were trembling and agitated have calmed down, and so they continued the evacuation smoothly without problem. Masayuki learned that anything he says is useless. That's enough. If with that everyone's anxiety gone, I'm fine with it. Afterwards, Masayuki concludes that his task is to stand up with confidence face, and so he takes the stance to watching the fight attentively. For this reason, there's something only Masayuki noticed. Wasn't Kenya's group is a party of 5. So, one of them is missing from the group. They are Kenya, Ryota, Gale, Alice. Who's the other one? Maybe I'm mistaken. I only know 4 people. Although he has noticed it with great effort, Masayuki concluded that it's just misunderstanding. Because the children influenced by Masayuki were only 4 people, that was the truth in a certain way. Masayuki quickly switches his thought and prayed for Venom's victory. And so, about the fight. Venom was in one-side defensive fight until the situation changed completely with the children's participation. Venom creating a gap in Ario's defense which then Kenya attacks. It became a coordinated attack. The secret was telepathy. Venom allocated some of his computing process and enabled telepathy with the children. With this, it's possible for them to communicate with super high-speed thought. While the 3 are fighting, they were in a conference at the same time. Listen kids. You guys can fight somewhat, but you guys are still weak. Therefore, don't overconfident with your power, do only what you can do. Roger that. Understood. Kenya and Ryota delightedly answers. Venom begins to instruct the strategy. Ryota, you'll be our defense. We're lucky that your attributes are water and wind. While healing me and Kenya when we are injured with water attribute, devote yourself in defense with help of wind attribute. Listen, the strategy is messed up if you're injured. Be careful. Yes. I'll be attacking with the assumption of getting injured. I'm expecting your healing. However, healing magic of holy system which will damage a demon is no good. I'll kill you if you making a mistake. Dante, don't worry. I've studied, I'll not make a mistake. Alright. But, prioritize your own safety. Don't make a mistake, okay. Okay. The key of the strategy was Ryota's healing. Like this, Venom doesn't need to worry about healing himself as he's keep on attack. Well, even if Ryota failed, Venom thought that he will manage somehow due to Masayuki's luck. It's because he can't win against Arios unless he takes a drastic strategy. Next, Venom instructs Kenya. Kenya, you will focus on offensive. Although there's healing from Ryota, I want the healing to be focused on me. So, I want you to use your strongest attack at the time that it will surely hit. Get it? No need to do the impossible. If you get inured too much, Ryota's healing won't catch up. Because I will desperately seal that guy's movement, you must think a way to make him accumulate damage without panicking. I get it. In short, Venom-san will be the tank, right? Venom nods to Kenya's question. He often heard the term during the training in the labyrinth. Tank is a vanguard who tanking vigorous attacks of melee-type monster single-handedly. Judging that Kenya has understood the strategy, Venom continued his explanation. Exactly. So, listen. That guy seemed to be a former human, he's still relying on his eyes when fighting. That is his weakness, understand? Yes. We had been taught by Hakura Shishao and Ajira Shishao. Or rather, when I rely too much on my eyes got crushed, you know? That's a common sense. Venom nods to those words. Using full potion, any body part loss can be recovered. With such reasoning, Hakura and Ajira seemed to have calmly crushed the clueless children's eyes and trained them. Those two, they are demon. Kenya and Co seems to accept the training without a problem. They have become stronger. So Venom convinced inside his mind. Alright, it's good if you two understand it. That guy didn't lose his habits from when he was a human, he's unconsciously protecting his eyes and important organs. We use that against him and attack. However, pay attention to his sword. Defending against it is pointless, don't think of stopping the sword with a weapon. Understood? It feels more dangerous than Zijin-san's absolute severance. Venom smiles and laughs when he heard Kenya's response. In fact, the power of Ario's sword was above Zijin's absolute severance. Although, even if both are same in the point that you can't defend against it, Venom thought that Zijin's ability that doesn't need to rely on a medium like a sword to be more troublesome. In any case, Venom can only praise Kenya for being able to see accurately the opponent's strength. As expected from Hakura and Ajira's training, Venom raised his valuation of Kenya. And so, confident with the success of the strategy, he's fired up to put it into practice. Alright. Well, you guys don't be unreasonable, okay? Well then, game start. Through such exchanges, the fight against Ario's begun. With Ryota as support, Venom attacks Ario's with everything he got in order to break through his defense. Kenya then attacks Ario's in the gaps. Ario's, who receiving the attacks, shown a bit agitation on his face, but he immediately dealt with it calmly as he didn't get any fatal wound. Although, by unconsciously evading attacks that he doesn't need to evade as Ario's is a spiritual life form, he didn't notice that he receives attacks that shouldn't hit. Ario's fell completely into Venom's plan. There were reasons why Ario's didn't notice Venom's plan. The first one is he should have already defeated the opponent who is lower rank than him normally, which make him feels irritated. But the problem was that his original power was sealed. By Velda's order, he was forbidden to attack the downtown area. For Ario's, who violated the order and acted individually, violating the order more than this is taboo. Therefore, he was restricted in using his ultimate skill weapon Lord, sword weapon. As Venom and Co. felt, if Ario's unleash the sword's power, he can release Severance Wave, which cut everything. However, the power is too big and it will affect the city as well. Ario's was placed in a situation where he could do nothing but to fight Venom and Co. with such restriction. This was all due to the effect of the lucky field created by Masayuki. Ario's, who looking down on his lower-ranked opponent, but unaware he was caught in a dilemma. It can't be, for these annoying people. They're standing in front of me with their half-baked ability. While being annoyed, only time will pass as he will not receive any decisive attack. Getting impatient about that, Ario's didn't notice that he gradually losing his calmness. If he was calm, he would give up on killing Hinata and quickly withdraw. However, Ario's didn't make such option. It was like his thought disturbed and can't make clear decision. As a result, now, finish off this guy together with me. So Venom shouted. Ario's sword, which pierced Venom's stomach, can't be pulled out as it had been ensnared by Venom's magic power. He has no problem erasing the sword once, but he will receive Kenya's attack directly in that case. Kenya, leave Venom-san's healing to me. Yuuu. Unlimited Justice Bringer 1. A single flash. Ario's, whose decision gets derailed by hesitation for a moment, receives a direct hit from Kenya's strongest attack. Even Venom, who suppressing Ario's, was cut in two by the terrifying sword attack. Kenya's enhanced spiritual power could exceed the limit for a brief moment. That's because the divine protection of Spirit of Light which fused with Kenya. Worthy as a future hero, he reached the level where he can destroy even an awakened demon lord. In other words, I'm impossible. With those as his last words, Ario's was swallowed by the torrent of light and disappeared. They did it. That's Masayuki's impression. Kenya's technique was amazing, but his pose of accumulating power closely resembled the special move from manga that Masayuki taught. That becomes a really amazing power. Although he was dumbfounded by many things, he can only accept the reality. Yes, as I expected. Kenya, you seem to have mastered the technique I taught you perfectly. Masayuki praised Kenya with a refreshing smile, his inner thoughts aside. Masayuki and Chan, did you see it? I did it. Masayuki nodded to Kenya, who smiling. Cheers of the people who were delayed in evacuation began reverberating, announcing the end of the fight. Like this, Kenya might stand out as a hero more than me from now. I think it's a good thing. While thinking it's convenient for him and sprouted a smile, Masayuki didn't notice that his smiling face charmed everyone. Meanwhile, hey, please heal me quickly. Despite being cut in two, Venom seems to have escaped from the torrent of light somehow and making a fuss. Ryota, Alice, Hinata, and also Nicholas came running, everyone use healing magic and so venom regenerated without problem. Of course. Self-sacrificing myself, it doesn't suit me at all. Venom hiding his embarrassment while saying such thing. However, Venom has secretly obtained the source of ultimate skill weapon Lord, sword weapon, as he shrewdly stole Ario's energy. It was exactly as Venom's calculation. Normally it's a strategy with low chances to succeed when put into action, but his decision that it was worth to try it was correct thanks to Masayuki's presence. Venom wins the gamble and obtained more power. When Venom was healed and things calmed down. Huh? Where is Kuhu-chan? Ryota looked around and asked such question. Noticing the same thing, Kenya also searching the surroundings restlessly. Ah, Kuhu-chan is gone. She goes out as she pleases again. Kuhu-chan liked unusual things after all. Gale and Alice let out a sigh, they answered like they gave up on the matter. Again? It can't be helped then. Since we slipped out to come here, it would be bad if she doesn't return soon though. Kenya's worry is not about the person called Kuhu-chan who seems to be their companion, it was towards the fact that if they didn't return quickly, their absence would be found out and get scolded. Who is Kuhu-chan? To Masayuki's question, the children answer all together a friend. Ah, they're a group of 5 from the start after all. While thinking so, Masayuki stopped thinking anymore by understanding that it was another child he didn't know. There's no need to be worried now as the enemy is beaten. The children start to search for their friend in order to return back quickly. And so, Masayuki and Co was busy with the cleanup afterwards in order to eliminate the anxiety from the people of Royal Capital as they originally intended. In the sky over the royal capital of Ingrassia Kingdom. Damn it, while shouting so, Arios spits out a rough breath. Arios managed to escape from the worst situation thanks to duplicate body that he prepared just in case. It's not time to get flustered. If I'm thinking calmly, I can grasp that the enemy's fighting strength is significant. That brat has such much power. But, knowing it now there's. However. Famu. As expected, everyone think alike. It's as Rimuru-sama says too. Arios' thought was interrupted as he heard an innocent child's voice. To not get noticed by Arios who specialized in stealth, who the hell is this person? With that in his mind, Arios turns around in astonishment. A young girl with black hair was standing there. No, it was not a young girl. It was a very bewitching and beautiful woman which makes him wonder why he mistakenly saw her as a young girl for some reason. Her beautiful mix of silver and gold long hair flowed gently down her back. Staring into her eyes, Arios was shocked to the extent that he couldn't breathe. I am Kumara III. Lord of the mythical beasts, the faithful servant of the great demon Lord Rimuru-sama. Chimeric Lord, Kumara, it's I. Well now, the introduction is over, it's time for farewell. Having said those words, Kumara sprouted a charming smile. Don't underestimate me. I don't care who you are. This place is far from the city area. Do you know what it means? It means that in this place so noisy. Please be silent. Without time for Arios to react. His neck is in Kumara's hand. Kumara's expression is like she was disappointed. And then, a sad expression showed on her face. I never think that you 4 would be weak like this. This is due to Venom's efforts, but how disappointing. Kumara lets out a listless sigh while saying so. She wants to do great works and get praised by Rimuru, but it can't be helped as there was almost no turn for her. What is more problematic than that? Now, I wonder what excuse I'd said to those children. How will she explain to the children? That's what occupying her head. And then, she returned to her child form again and flew towards the royal capital while worrying. 1. Genkai Tapa, Unlimitedo, Seigi Shikao Kaibuzan, Jajuda Subirinja. The first set of kanji is for limit break, the second is for justice enforcement hope / 2 Kumara talks with Da Arinsu at the end. It's a variation of Disu like Da Arime Sutagazaru and so on. Shaltir use Da Arinsu too. 3 Kumara use Wachi to refer herself. Archaic form of I used in the past by Geisha and Waran during Edo period. 4 Kumara use Nushi-sama for Monashi which is archaic form for you. Pretty much Kumara talks in a polite way. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 225, Intersected Checkmate. Intersected Checkmate. Velda surveyed the situation of the war in various places expressionlessly. The results are unsatisfactory. Or rather, it was so disastrous that it may be said to be a total defeat. In the battle in Milim's territory, the angels are being expelled as Vega was defeated. Although it was a large army numbered 200,000 angels, it was a disastrous scene as there were only 10,000 or so remaining as the result of being absorbed by Vega or annihilated by Carrion. Overwhelmed to the point of annihilated. Victory on this battlefield couldn't be expected anymore. Looking at El Dorado, the place ruled by Leon, the stalemate continues as there's no one commanding the angels and the city barrier can't be broken. Although he couldn't see the situation inside the isolated castle by a barrier which disconnected it from the space, Velda knew that Cagali was already defeated. He gave Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka to Cagali's subordinate called Footman, but it would aim both sides that are inside the place. The fact that the barrier remains standing means the fight still continues. But Velda felt an uncomfortable feeling. The decisive one was Dagruel's defeat, who attacking Holy Empire Rubrios where Ruminas lives in hiding. Dagruel, who is the strongest among the four fiends of heavenly commanders, his defeat as one who boasts combat capability next to him is something that Velda couldn't ignore. The giants of the chain of restrained Titan army seemed to stop moving and accept defeat. It can't be, for Feldera to win against Dagruel. Even when I check the combat data with Vilgrind, I can't find any winning factors. It's vexing, but it was outside his imagination that Feldera won against Dagruel. I am very sorry. In my calculation, for the four fiends of heavenly commanders, that's Vega, Cagali, and even Dagruel to be defeated is. Velda raises his hand to stop Lucia, who starts apologizing. Oh well. Even in my calculation too, Dagruel's defeat was not expected. The question is how to do the next move. Dino, who's attacking Demon Lord Remuru's headquarters, is still alive. Most of the war potentials were concentrated on this place, but it was because Dino is the one with the most passive combat capability. As for Milim's territory, there's no problem to leave it alone. Because Demon Lord Milim, who was the most important issue, had been obtained. He can ignore Leon's El Dorado, too. As for the reason of the attack in the first place was because he allowed Kazarim's selfishness, who showed an obsession towards Leon, it doesn't mean that it's an important place. As for protecting the Heaven Gate and also cutting the source of the people's faith, it was important to destroy Holy Empire Rubrios. The hope of the Western country's people was lost by telling them the annihilation of Demon Lord Remuru. In addition to this, if he destroys the headquarters of the Western Holy Church, the people who are resisting would give up in despair. But the presences of Feldera and resistance forces in various places keep giving hope to the people. That was Velda's analysis. Even for the Holy Church, it's only one of them. It seems that the network between the countries is beyond what he imagined and can't be looked down. Velda felt ironic as it was Kagurazaka Yuuki, his host, who created the organization specialized even in information transmission, that's Freedom Association. It won't be interesting if it's not like this. Everything would end immediately once I go out, let's have them resist as much as they want. It was more fun than he thought, Velda was satisfied. Next, well then, what would they do, he thought. In front of him is Lucia. On her right side is Milim. Kneeling down below him were the last two of the executioners, Zero and Mai. They are his remaining war potentials. He intends to defeat every one of the Demon Lords and in reverse blame it on Demon Lord Remuru's subordinates. In territorial strategy, it could be said to be his complete defeat. However, the enemy's king, that is Demon Lord Remuru, has already been destroyed. There's no need to panic, so Velda thought. Above everything else, his true and important goal is to defeat Guy Crimson and Chloe Obel, who have the possibility to be equal to him. In fact, if he destroys the strongest people in this world, it would be easy to purge the remaining forces. Currently, Guy is fighting against Chloe. Also, Vilgrind is fighting against Veltsard. Chloe would be free once she defeats Guy, but she wouldn't be able to point her sword at Velda due to the restriction. However, just in case, he ought to kill her together with Guy. As long those two perish, it might be possible to persuade Vulgrind. Thinking so, Velda makes Lucia states her opinion. It's about time for Demon Lord Guy Crimson and even the true hero Chloe Obel to be exhausted. We should send all of our war potential and kill both of them. Lucia answered so without hesitation. Satisfied with her answer, Velda stands up. Good. Then, I will give new power to Zero. With this, go to Guy's place. Before he finishes talking, Velda stopped moving. Wait. Isn't they are too easy to be read? The calculation derived by Lucia is also worrisome as everything ended up with failure. Although Demon Lord Rimuru was killed, why there's no hesitation in that guy's subordinate's movement. Also, Feldera's action is. No way, he's still alive? If that's the case, he knew that I'll be aiming at Guy and the other. Then. What I should target it, is Tempest. It's completely unexpected from Lucia, who is the strongest Manas. Although she doesn't possess ultimate skill wisdom Lord Raphael, Lucia's intellect is very high. And yet, the result was too unnatural. A change of plan. Attack the monster country Tempest. 0. Assemble all remaining troops and join Dino. I'll give you this, ultimate skill Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka, it's almost approaching its completion, accumulated more combat experience. Master it. Even Ramorous Labyrinth creation can be broken if you use it. Go. Trample that place and realize the birth of the new world, destruction of this world. As your will. Receiving Velda's command, Zero stooped up and went away. My two follows Zero and left the place. Only Lucia and Milim remain. Velda calmly sat on his throne and laughed a little. If Demon Lord Rimuru is alive, there's no way he won't move when Ramorous is in danger. He will guess that I was going to aim for Guy and Chloe Rook and Bishop, but he's wrong. Instead, I'll lure him out and get the checkmate in one go. Velda was convinced that Rimuru had survived. However, as he didn't show himself, Velda predicted that he might not in perfect condition. Or maybe, he thought that Velda will move in order to end both Guy and Chloe and awaiting the opportunity to strike at such opening. Either way, Velda has seen his plan. As long I'm in this sky castle, I won't lose. On the contrary, I'll lure Rimuru out and put an end to him. That was Velda's thought. It's a checkmate, Rimuru. Well, how will you move next? The sky castle with only Lucia and Milim left was filled with emptiness. In this place, Velda's laughter echoed a bit. His laughter became a small signal announcing the war entered its final phase. Too damn strong. That giant Asen is so absurdly strong. I didn't think that Dagruel has so much power, and I'd see Feldera-san fighting with full power. Kyufu, as expected from Feldera-sama. Even I wouldn't be able to win against Demon Lord Dagruel with my body intact. I'm nodding in admiration as Diablo has the same opinion as me. As I can feel his confidence from his words, I don't think that he would lose one-sidedly. However, for him competing against Feldera in strength is abnormal in the first place. Dagruel is too strong. I didn't notice anything that indicated Dagruel would be this strong when I met him before. Even in the fight just now, Feldera would have lost if he made a mistake. Indeed. Without the combat experience from fighting Vulgrind, Feldera might have been defeated. Seal-sensei calmly said so, but she seems have not doubted that Feldera would win. She was probably confident as Feldera's ability was strengthened by her own hands. Oh well, that confidence is justified. Veldrora's fertile paradox has transformed the barren desert into a great forest. Didn't he strengthen it too much? It was refreshing seeing his usual magic experiment. This ability is too haphazard. Sacrificing the angel army who was attacking Rumina's capital, the land which was poured with excessive energy has splendidly revived. Absurdly, it seems the angels were not allowed to resist it. The probability of success was manipulated and it seemed that resisting became impossible. Indeed, so Feldera-like. What a terrifying guy. Quahahaha. Actually, I used the magic essence completely. I want a refill. Although if he didn't come back and then demanding like this, I would think that he was such an amazing guy. I let out a sigh like saying good grief, and began transferring my energy to Feldera. Hey, the other thing is fine, but Velda won't know this place, right? Of course. Do I look like someone who will make such blunder? Feldera-san is so confident. It's visible when I asked him. Oh well. Let's think about it when we get exposed. Besides, Feldera-san's activity this time is a wonderful work worthy of praise. He restored the out-of-order ley line and corrected the distortion of that land. Thanks to that, there are more cards that this side could play. He also acted skillfully not to raise Velda's suspicion. Therefore, I thought that I will let him taking a large amount of magic essence from me. Well then, it can be said that the war has completed its first stage. In Milim's place, the army led by Carrion had exterminated the angels. Gobuta was participating in the meeting in Tempest, but it seems that he returned back and cooperates with Carrion again. There seems to be some injured soldier from Gobuta's subordinate, but they recover immediately as a large amount of high potion seems to be prepared beforehand. This place will be fine, I guess. Even in Leon's El Dorado, it was a real victory. While maintaining the barrier, orders were issued on the battlefield. There's no problem in here either. With this, victory in various places except in Tempest is confirmed. However, Seal's strategy is amazing. What I'm really anxious about is just Gobuta's fight. But, there was insurance even for that fight. Because it included the cleaning up afterward as the Devil Lords defeated the Seraphim. In the worst case, Diablo would go and support them, but I just worried too much. As for the reinforcement request coming from Misery, there would be danger for anyone who went there. However, Benimaru is the one who go there. Because Kazarim is related to Gelmuto's matter. Seal said so, asserting that there was no need for me to issue orders. There were various things that make me want to go, but it can be said that everything is going as Seal's prediction. From the moment of predicting Dagruel's betrayal, she prepared Feldera to be lurking in preparation just in case of the worst. If Feldera didn't wait for his turn, Shin and the others might not have a hard fight though. I suspected that this might be a part of Seal's strategy so Shin would show some growth. Well, I don't think that it's like that. Although I was the one who sent Masayuki to various places, it might be just a coincidence that he happened to be there when Hinata facing her crisis. But, it seems it was Seal's intention for the children to go to Ingrassia Kingdom. It's not surprising as Seal knows Alice's crisis perception ability and incorporated it into her strategy. The proof was Kumara going together with the children as their bodyguard. What caught my eyes next is Masayuki. That guy's grasp over people's hearts seemed to be strengthened to a level that can't be taken lightly. I sincerely thought that I'm glad Masayuki is my ally. However, he helped to wipe out people's anxiety in various places. The result is beyond what I intended. Regarding Masayuki, Seal didn't modify his ability, but taking a memo of the acting coaching is Seal's idea. As expected, Seal had a part even in this matter too. Seen in this light, it's terrifying because I see everything is playing right above Seal's palm. Oh well, it's convenient for me as I want to end this war quickly. For Velda, I give you my condolences. There was nothing to say other than he has a bad opponent. Well now, how will he play his move next? Well, the battle in various places has ended with our victory, but how do you think Velda will move next? I don't think that he will give up in destroying the world. Where will be his target next? It will be the place where Guy, Miss Chloe, Feldera-sama's sisters are fighting, right? When I asked him, Diablo answered so. Yes, the same opinion as me. Initially, my reason for neglecting the battle in that place is to lure out Velda. Then, we also moved in waiting for Velda's arrival, or so I thought at first. Please wait. Currently, everything is advancing just as planned. As a result, I anticipated a change in enemy's thought. Velda has doubted Master's annihilation and convinced that Master is alive. In other words, Velda's next plan is attacking this city. Seal stated her opinion. I see, as expected he would feel suspicious. Because even though I should have died, my subordinates are still playing an active part in this war. If you thinking about this, even I will feel something is suspicious too. Oh well, it would be weird if you don't feel anything suspicious about it. To predict that it would be like this. As expected from Seal-san. Normally, if I'm the one who came up with the idea and executing it, the differences would be like heaven and earth. Then, Velda is aiming at Tempest, right? That's certain. and his aim is to lure out me who panicked. That's right. And perhaps, he will send his strongest forces including even anti-labyrinth. Anti-labyrinth ability? That seems impossible. That labyrinth is an invincible area, granted with absolute immortality by Ramiris. As long as we fighting inside it, there's no way we will lose. As for the method of capturing the labyrinth, there's no other way than to destroy the creator, that's Ramiris. No. If it spreads its roots in the labyrinth, it's possible to rewrite the effect. In other words. Ah, that's right. Hearing Seal's explanation, I understood. Certainly, it may be possible to nullify the labyrinth with such method. If that comes true, it's likely that the final decisive battle will be done inside the labyrinth. I immediately thought about the countermeasures, also I told Benimaru who returned to Tempest about it. I want to believe that those present there, Ramiris included, will be able to deal with it later. And then, I converse with Seal. Then, it would be impossible to lure out Velda, right? Yes, I expected so. Conversely, you could say that we succeeded in confining him. Exactly as Seal said, it can be said that Velda shut himself inside the Sky Castle. Up until now, the location of the Heaven Gate was unknown. Or rather, due to the raging magic essences in that area, magic power perception can't be activated smoothly. For a long time ago until now, the Heaven Gate has been hidden. However, with Dagruel who is the gate protector defeated, the disorder of the magic essence was corrected. What left is only the defense mechanism of the gate itself. If it was before, if you aim at the gate, Velda would immediately guess your intention. And then, before you break the power defending the gate, he would put some countermeasures. But, right now, because of Feldera's great efforts, the gate has become exposed. It would be too late for Velda when he realizes our intention as we quickly destroyed the gate and get the checkmate. An eye for an eye. As Velda is going to attack my city in order to lure me out, on the contrary, he would also get invaded. Now that we have shaved off Velda's forces, we don't need to defend all of our bases. Far from hoping for the destruction of the world, he better realize that it was a foolish idea to send his forces gradually to various places. For the next turn, it would be an attack from our side. I shall teach him that it's a mistake if he thinks that it will be his turn forever. Testarossa, Ultima, Carrera. By calling my summons, I connected to the three Devil Lords with telepathy. It's a secret line made by going directly through Soul Corridor. This is Rimuru-sama. You're safe after all. Testarossa answered filled with emotion. I nodded and ordered those three. You three, go destroy the Heaven Gate. Furthermore, conceal the fact that I'm alive, Oak. Even though you said so, everyone is convinced that Rimuru-sama is alive. I have asked Benimaru about it, but oh well, just in case. It's not the time for me to appear yet, so don't say it's an order from me. Even if you are asked by other people, it's fine if you refuse and don't say my name. Please rest assured in that case. Because it's only Rimuru-sama who could order us. Saying so, Testarossa and Cole laugh happily. Come to think about it, those three are under my direct control. Because they won't receive an order from other people, I guess I'm thinking too much. As for Benimaru, it was too late as he knows I'm alive. While I was thinking of such things to hide my own embarrassment, Testarossa and others seemed to have finished their preparation. And in order to execute my order to destroy the Heaven Gate, they began moving with glee. Next, the remaining problem is. There are people who are fighting and causing unnecessary environmental destruction on the northern continent. Well, it's meaningless for Guy and the others to keep fighting. I think someone has to go and mediate between them. At the moment I said so. Oops, Dia. I have the important duty as Rimuru-sama's guard. This place aside, O Feldera-sama, please go and admonish your sisters. The victor is Diablo. Feldera tried to push that role to Diablo but was brilliantly ignored. It was his utter defeat. Thus, it was decided that Feldera would go and arbitrate the quarrel between his sisters. Feldera's expression was overflowing with sadness, but as he had taken a large amount magic essence from me, there's no need for me to feel any sympathy for him. I want him to try his best. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 226, Labyrinth's Encroachment, Part 1. Labyrinth's Encroachment, Part 1. Feldera kept looking back in my direction many times and then left regretfully while I saw him off. The one who gave up is the loser. It might not look much, but he had taken a large amount of magic essence from me, so I wanted him at least to try his best in arbitrating his sisters. Besides, there is no way for other people to arbitrate the fight between true dragons. Even I don't want to do it. That's why I sent Feldera off without any compromise. It seems that Velda's remaining forces are low. From Dino's information, Velda's executives consisted of 14 people. After he heard of Dagruel's defeat, are serious? For that Asen to lose, was his surprised reaction. He then told me the information. I don't know whether he's saying the truth or lying, but I think Velda might not have any more hidden forces. After all, this is not a shonen manga, there's no meaning of hiding them till you're at a disadvantage. The 4 fiends of the heavenly commanders and the executioners seemed to be Velda's trusted retainers and his strongest war potentials. After that, Pico and Garasha, Dino's fallen angel's subordinate. And then, Lucia. Only Dino was left among the 4 fiends of the heavenly commanders, and 4 of the executioners were killed by Testarossa and others. Moreover, in Ingracia Kingdom, by the children and Venom's efforts, also Kumara, who dealt the final blow, killed one of the executioners. Well, I wonder who will make the next move, while I'm thinking so. At the same time, it seems there's movement in each country. The angels who were showing their last resistance against Carrion and others had disappeared suddenly with teleport. Even the angel army that attacked El Dorado disappeared at the same time. Apparently, all of angels who were scattered across many parts of the world seemed to have disappeared altogether. And then, they appeared and combined all forces on Tempest. Their numbers are around 600,000. Despite losing 40% of their 1 million, it still boasted an overwhelming prowess. All of Velda's remaining forces came attacking in order to crush Tempest. Accordingly to Seal Sensei's prediction. In this way, although we were victorious in various places, the threat of the angel army still high. If we carry out the war honorably, we will not end up unharmed. However, this side has the labyrinth. Gerudo and Gable were deployed on the surface and have been playing with Dino. The purpose was a sort of diversion. The purpose is to make Velda believe that it was a war. In the worst case, we would withdraw to the labyrinth. Like this, the angel army couldn't take an action as an army. Just like when the Empire attacked, we can deal with every one of them individually. Naturally, there's a problem. There's a limit in Ramaris' ability, that is the range where she can create entrances is limited. She can't make entrances anywhere she likes. To be precise, she could link to the previous dwelling of the spirit and the 100th floor from anywhere, but you could only get out to the place of your entry. It's not possible to enter the labyrinth from Tempest and go out to Ulg Nature Park in Ulgracia Republic. This is a problem for the Adventures and Tempest's citizens who are taking shelter inside the labyrinth. Since the entrance and exit are restricted, if it gets blockaded, it means checkmate. Those with higher rank can use transfer, but there are few people who can transfer among the general public. Transfer magic is out of the question as there's a problem about the transfer destination. More than anything, the use of transfer magic has complex rules. It's dangerous for normal people to do it inside the labyrinth. If it's me and the executives, we could transfer to anywhere freely though. It's possible to live inside the labyrinth, but it might be difficult to spend your whole life without being able to go outside. For such reasons, it was decided that we would defend the entrance till the end. However, that's already the end too. If Velda carries out his plan to lure me out as I expected, he will not stop until he destroys the dungeon. It's a pain for the entrance to be blockaded, but that's after we break through the blockade later. Let's pretend to fall for this plan and respond to it skillfully. Everything is according to our expectation. The next plan has already been issued. We will be alright as long as the enemy forces didn't surpass our assumption, but I wonder how it will turn out. Benimaru hasn't recovered his energy yet. The enemy forces is unclear. I'm a bit worried. However, leave this place to us. Be relieved, Rimuru-sama, please see the defense force of the labyrinth. I decided to believe in Benamera's words. Well, in the worst case I'll let Diablo go and we will manage somehow. It doesn't mean my uneasiness is resolved, but I can do nothing but to believe in everyone left in the labyrinth. The plan this time will put the labyrinth in danger. Therefore, I wanted to remove most of my uneasiness, but the enemy won't wait. Thus, while I'm worried, a full assault against Tempest has begun. Zero gathered all remaining angels in various places after he was given the power by Velda. And then, they all depart to Tempest for a full-scale assault. Zero is a taciturn person. And his true identity is not a human. The leader of the executioners was Arios, but Zero is the strongest. That's natural. After all, Zero was made by Yuuki, he was an artificial human one. If you interpret it in a broad sense, it can be said that he's Vega's brother. While Vega was tuned with a pseudo-aggressive personality, all emotions were removed from Zero. He was created in this world as a combat doll possessing both high computing power and calm judgment not affected by emotions. Among the hundreds of the handmade dolls created by Yuuki, Zero is the only one that can be called a success. With a unique combat sense and perfected battle creature body. Zero evolved as spiritual life form after he got the complete control of the Seraphim power given to him. And right now, he obtained the completed ultimate skill Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka from Velda. Zero was going to cross another wall. After Zero's body mixed with Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka, a peculiar change occurred. It's a mutation beyond Velda's expectation. The mutation is progressing within Zero without being noticed by anyone. The army of 600,000 angels finished organizing. Zero, Mai, Dino, Pico and Garasha, those 5 people meet face to face. The objective is to conduct the last briefing. As soon as he arrived, all members were gathered by Zero. As Zero was given the title of the Heaven's Supreme Commander, Dino and the others don't have right to object. Also, another reason is, compared to the time when he met him before, Zero's aura has this overwhelming coercion. Thinking that it would be troublesome, Dino has no other choice but to obey him. Well, what kind of plan are you going to do? Dino-san, you can't win if you fight half-heartedly, you know? If you want to attack, attack with everything in one go. You should concentrate your forces and not give time for the enemy to recover. Don't be ridiculous. It's troublesome because they are hiding inside the labyrinth. I've been attacking them steadily, you know? It's a plan, you know, a strategy. To Mai's retort, Dino boldly says the excuse he already thought out before. Not hesitating to say what he thinks is Dino's amazing point. In fact, he was slacking off, but as he said his words boldly like he has won. Guh. How impudent. For Mai, who is a diligent, honor student type, Dino was an opponent she's not good against. Delighted that Mai was unable to refute, Dino tried to pursue further, but we don't have time for a quarrel. Let's begin the plan quickly. The order I received was destruction of the labyrinth with all-out attack. Therefore, even if they were barricading themselves inside the labyrinth, it's fine. After all, we'll destroy the labyrinth, there won't be any problem. Quickly sweep aside the surface core and begin the labyrinth's invasion. Zero stops Dino and told Velda's order. Dino and the others have their expressions changing due to the order. Hey, don't say an unreasonable thing like that. That labyrinth is impregnable. It's not because I failed once, but seriously it's disadvantageous for us inside. The enemy is completely immortal and ignored any damage. Even if we attack with an army, we will be divided and defeated one by one. That's right. Besides, there's a tough guy among the surface core. It's hardly a joke, to that guy, any attack aren't working at all. See. There's also a warrior who can goes toe-to-toe with this Garasha too. They are not people who you can easily defeat just by pushing with numbers. Following Dino, Pico, and Garasha also complain. In fact, during the attack in the last few days, those two were at loss how to continue fighting against Gerudo and Gable. They don't know how it will be if they release their full power, but it didn't seem like they could win by fighting normally. Because of that, the girls quickly objected to Zero's words of dealing with the surface core. As Dino understands the high difficulty of the labyrinth, this was advice from his heart. His real intention is that he doesn't want to enter the labyrinth again, but that is something is better left unsaid. However, the talk has advanced toward the worst direction that Dino worried about. In short, I told you there was no problem. I transferred the command of the angels to you. Command the whole army and clean up the surface core. If it's you, there's correction for long-range attacks. Make the angels fire volleys of holy light sphere from the sky and annihilate the enemy on the ground. Understood. It's a suitable stage for accuracy increase and long-range attack power increase of my ability he. I'll make the angels synced with me with connect, is it fine right? No problem. I left the surface to you, you don't mind. I am good. Then, what will you do? I will invade the labyrinth with Dino and the others. The matter is briefly decided by Zero. Dino's anxiety hit the mark. What with this guy, there's not even a discussion. Dino wanted to shout, but unfortunately Zero has the higher authority. Hey. Inside the labyrinth, the enemy will keep reviving. Not a problem. I'll erode the labyrinth itself. Using the ability of the true evil dragon Lord Azadahaka given to me by Veldasama, you see. Interrupting Dino's word, Zero declares so without any change in his expression. Sensing from Zero's attitude that any more argument is unnecessary, Dino given up as saying anything will be useless. Because the matter is already decided, Dino's words won't change anything since Zero said it was Velda's order. I understand, I will obey you. So, is it only me and you who enter the labyrinth? I will enter the labyrinth with you three. And, I will leave you three to earn me time as I am eroding the labyrinth. Understood. Dino responded so, Pico and Garasha also steeled themselves. Thus, the members to capture Ramaris Labyrinth were decided. When the plan start? To Dino's question. Staring now. Zero answered. And so. With Zero's word as the signal, the largest attack in history towards Tempest began. Glittering flashes. The angels attacked together to the extent of making sight impossible. A heat wave mows down the surface, evaporating the town created by Rimuru and Co. Even the corps led by Barrier Lord, Gerudo and Dragon Lord Gable chose to withdraw in front of the rain of light that pouring from the sky which can't be simply defended with barrier. If there's no defense correction from Gerudo's ability, that attack would have violently annihilated everything. The ability correction of Mai's ultimate skill weapon Lord, Bow Weapon, enables precise shooting. The angels who are united by Mai's will, caught the target in Mai's line of sight and attacks one point together. A concentrated attack of 600.000 angels is terrifying. The temperature of the focused point is impossible to be measured. If it's not reflected and dispersed by Gerudo's barrier, it won't allow any resistance. She should praise Gerudo as he was able to withstand it for a moment. The part with the town was rapidly transformed into an empty land void of anything. The angels move under one will, unlike when they were under Dino's command. Like one living being, they shown an orderly movement. They become a threat to Tempest. It's no longer possible to think them as they were same as before. Zero nods as he confirmed that the surface core has withdrawn into the labyrinth. From the exit entrance opened on the surface, he confirms several places of distorted space that release similar waves. Mai also sighted the place and completed fixating the place as the target of the Angels' army. Don't spare anyone who runs. Gotcha. Conversing briefly, Zero begins to move into the labyrinth taking along Dino and Co. As if ridiculing Dino and Co., Mai has shown that she easily won against the people acknowledged by Pico and Garasha. Pico, frustratedly thought that she has no other choice but to admit it. Still, they seem to withdraw a bit too easily. Although she didn't say it loud as it would make her looks like a sore loser, Pico can't get rid of it from her mind. After all, she experienced the bitterness during her fight against Gerudo, who boasts a much too high defensive power. She thinks that Mai was amazing to repel such opponents so easily, but she still has some unsatisfied feeling. Oh well. If they retreated into the labyrinth, there might be a chance to fight them. But, with that defensive power and immortality, it won't be a joke. Thinking about the solution when the time comes, Pico follows Dino and the others into the labyrinth. When the four people entered the labyrinth, it was the moment when Zero's labyrinth eroding plan begun. 1 Jinzu Ninjin, Jinzu equals man-made / artificial. Ninjan equals human. It usually means robot or android, but in this context it's an artificial human/being. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 227, Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 2. Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 2. A control room was located on the lowest floor of the labyrinth. The room, which could be called as the center of the labyrinth, was made to manage everything inside the labyrinth. A big monitor was installed at the center of the room, showing the appearances of Zero and Co. in combat inside the labyrinth. The inside of the control room had been remodeled with decorations that have no particular meaning, and there were also devices and such that kept blinking. It started. Yeah. Everything is going as planned. Ramiris nods to Benimaru's mutters. Ramiris is sitting on a luxurious chair which made exclusively for her personal use, taking a contemplative pose of putting her clasped hands in front of her chin. Benimaru stands on her right side, looking at the screen keenly. Although the two people are conversing as if their atmosphere is serious. Don't fool around, do your work. Shana hits Benimaru's head with a folded fan in her hand. Ouch. Hey, it hurts if it's folded. Don't you have any gentleness for your beloved older brother? There's none. That kind of thing is unimportant, please do your job seriously. Shana cut him down in single hit. There's another person who's supporting Shana with their words. That person is Beretta. Why are you fooling around, Ramiris-sama? If you don't stop, I will report this to Rimuru-sama, you know. Way. You, what are you talking about? I'm being serious. Ramiris panicking after hearing Beretta's Tsukamai. She stops doing her competitive behavior and starting to explain in panic. You too, Benimaru. It's not time for playing around, a very serious crisis is approaching, be more conscious. Scolded by Sui, Benimaru meekly nods. Although he and Ramiris are enjoying themselves with the atmosphere, it seems to be taken negatively by the serious people. This is because these guys are not playful. Hey. I only playing around a bit, I wish Rimuru wasn't mad at me. Their gaze intersect, Benimaru and Ramiris are communicating their inner feelings. However, they can read the mood and so they decided to stop playing anymore. In fact, the situation is unsatisfactory. The floors that have been invaded so far by the enemy are displayed on the big screen. According to the display, the enemy is fighting the boss of the 50th floor currently. With a terrifying speed, the enemy broke all of the past records. In such critical situation, Benimaru and Ramiris still have time for their behavior. Which isn't surprising. A little while ago, an order from Rimuru had reached Benimaru. Rimuru conveyed the enemy's predicted goal and the countermeasures. As for defending the labyrinth, Benimaru and the others too are not needed. To this matter, Ramiris and Zijin agreed, intercepting the intruder by themselves is decided unanimously. Benimaru presents everybody's intentions to Rimuru, who's still anxious about the labyrinth war potentials. And then, from Rimuru, defend the labyrinth till the end, such order was received. Benimaru still hasn't recovered from the exhaustion after his fight with Kazarim, but there's no worry about that. After all, it's due to the thick density of the magic essence inside the labyrinth which beyond comparison from the outside. Noticeably, he can feel that his energy is recovering. Moreover, probably because he released magic essences to the limit once, he has a hunch that he can take in the energy of turn null while becoming more used to it. Filling and mixing it while emptying the container little by little, in a sense replenishing magic essence at the same time. Huff. Like this, I think I can considerably control this energy. The top group of the defense war potential of the labyrinth is still alive, in the worst case, Benimaru might also need to go too. Prediction of the enemy's action can be made, and the war potentials are alive. There's no factor to be uneasy of. Well. Then, should we work seriously now? Ramiris-sama, what is the percentage of the labyrinth that has been eroded by that guy currently? That's right. Right now, it's 15% I think. There's still more to spare. Understood. So, when Gozaerl and Mazurl on the 50th floor are defeated, do we commence the strategy? Well. As my preparations will be done with just a bit more, it'll be the right time. Then, we will start. After such exchange, Benimaru began to issue instructions regarding the specific strategy. Ramiris also resumes her work. Gozairl and Mazurl, who were defeated easily, are revived on the lowest floor. And then they come to the control room ashamed. Good work. Well, please rest at ease. We're very sorry, we have no excuse to offer, Benimaru-sama. We wanted to exhaust the enemy even a bit though. We are not even an obstacle to that guy. Don't mind it. You guys aren't weak, it's just those guys are strong. Be relieved as everything is as planned. Gozairl and Mazurl, who hanged their heads in front of Benimaru, seemed to have been relieved a little when they heard those words. With meek faces, they sit on the reserved chairs. At the same time. Well then. As planned, the strategy will start. Everyone, on your position. The strategy will be put into action now. And then, at the time of the retrieval of the Demon Golem, Demon Lord Protector Colossus, the strategy will shift to its second stage. Everything is as planned. Everyone, accomplish your own work without rushing. Leave the rest to the combat group. Benimaru ordered so. Tension runs through to the Ramiris subordinates, the Dragon Kings and the Operator, the Dryads with Trainee as their leader. Well then, Ramiris-sama. I shall depart too. Beretta respectfully told Ramiris. Okay. You can lose, but dying is not permitted. Phew, what a joke. If I lost so many times, then I'll be branded as a loser. I'll surely triumph this time. Leaving behind those words, Beretta immediately teleport away. Then, he already stood by Zijin's side. And so, the battle inside the labyrinth slowly intensifies. The guardian of the 60th floor is the Demon Golem. It received order to eliminate the intruder, showing its overwhelming destructive power. It's a violence machine. Modified by Gadra Raushi, it's equipped with various weapons, its viciousness is nothing like before. However, in front of Dino and Co., even with its power, stalling the enemy didn't come true. Geez, it's so much trouble, this thing is stupidly strong. Rather than that, why doesn't it vanish as light particles? Just probably though. This golem won't revive, right? It won't, I guess. Oh well, even if it did, it's not a threat anyway. But if it's about this thing is troublesome, I'd agree. To Dino's grumble, Pico and Garasha respond respectively. Indeed, Dino thinks that it's absurd for Golem, which is an artificial object, to revive, but recalling Ramiris' wicked smile, there was an uneasiness which makes Dino unable to deny it. If it's that person, it might be possible. It's not Ramiris who has the power to be a threat, but that can't be said with the other people in the labyrinth. Not to mention, their threat level are beyond imagination with the bestowed immortality inside Ramiris' controlled area. Besides, Ramiris' ability is unreasonable, it won't be strange if she was able to grant the effect even to an artificial being. From Dino's point of view, Ramiris' labyrinth creation was such a threat. However, the enemy was suddenly gone. From floor 61, I'm sure that ghost-type enemy would come out in swarms, right? That's true. I cited low-class wraiths, but they're only small fry. In that case, the upper floors were more troublesome, right? As Pico and Garasha said, they can't see any appearance of enemies after they defeated the Demon Golem and descended a floor below. But, Zero knew the reason why. That's because Adalman and Co. went outside to intercept Dagruel, which Zero witnessed himself. Because there's no reason to tell it, Zero keeps his silence. Oh well, maybe because of that. Perhaps, they went to intercept Dagruel, I guess. Dino carelessly said the correct answer. Zero hears it, he thought that he needs to raise his evaluation of Dino a bit. Zero thought that Dino is a foolish guy, but he's surprised due to Dino's sharpness in the situational awareness. Did that means all monsters from here on were outside? Can you do such a thing? Rather than that, using the monsters living inside the labyrinth as an army. Honesty, isn't that a foul play? I dunno, don't say it to me. Say your complaints to Rimuru. Because enemies won't come out, Dino and Co. have such free time to have such talkative quarrel. Zero, who indifferently watched them, opened his mouth. You guys, listen. I'm going to return to the 60th floor, I'll concentrate in my work to steal the authority of this labyrinth. Even now I have eroded the labyrinth as we traveled, but only about 15% taken by me and it's not advancing. However, I succeeded in containing the transfer function. Above the 60th floor has become my area. However, it will take time to erode 61th floor and below. As the way things are going, it won't progress well. I leave the rest to you guys, rampage as much as you can and earn me time. Zero was able to analyze mostly of the enemy's war potential. As he attacking with a small group of people, there's no fear of the group being divided into parts. It would be the suitable time soon. With the roots of his ability stretched around since the time he entered, he succeeded in stealing a part of the authority of the labyrinth's power. After that he thought to concentrate himself in eroding the labyrinth and finish this mission quickly. Shutting down the teleport means that a direct attack to Zero inside the labyrinth becomes impossible. Then, he judged that by letting Dino and Co advance and rampaging around, in that opportunity he would be able to concentrate in taking over the control of the labyrinth. Leave it to me. Dino responded powerfully to Zero's words. Zero nods to the answer, he says rampage as much as you want and then he turned his back. Zero returns to the 60th floor's boss room while confirming the safety of the surroundings. And then, he unleashes the ability of the completed and evolved ultimate skill Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka and begins the encroachment of the labyrinth. In order to usurp the labyrinth complexly, Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka has the ability to make clones infinitely by spreading its roots to the ground, but it was originally ability of energy absorption on the surroundings. It assimilates into surroundings' natural environment, and make it possible to regenerate himself infinitely as part of the nature. That's the truth of ultimate skill Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka and its correct usage. The environment that has its energy sucked up empty will be ruined and destroyed. By assimilating to this labyrinth, he will plunder the authority of the labyrinth. If he does so, Zero will be able to steal the power of Ramorous labyrinth creation. Even in case he fails, he could cancel the authority and nullify it. Then, at his side has 4 strong people of awakened Demon Lord class, they would be superior in fighting power, so was Zero's calculation. In the worst case, I will suck up the energy of this labyrinth and destroy it. Then, in any case, the enemy doesn't have refuge. They will hastily flee and rounded up by Mai's concentrated attack. Although, if I finish assimilating with this labyrinth, I won't let the enemy escape. Zero is convinced of the victory. Zero thought that immortality inside the labyrinth is troublesome, and by manipulating the dimension and space making it impossible for an army to capture the labyrinth is invincible. However, if ability of the labyrinth is sealed off, it's Zero's side's turn to invade. He didn't think that it's funny that Dino and Co so abnormally wary inside the labyrinth. Certainly, it's a dangerous ability. However, for Zero, the more dangerous the labyrinth is, greater the power as the reward after he deprives it. Veldasama, it's our victory. Zero sits with his legs crossed and concentrated his mind on eroding the labyrinth. The 3 people go ahead, leaving Zero behind. Although Dino declared his reply impressively to Zero, inside his mind is idiot. From the start, don't expect someone else to help your work and such. But, I can't even run away from Veldasama's side. Because there's a thing with Rimuru too, I can't do careless action. Ah, how troublesome. So, various conflicts jumbled together. Consequently, with that gloomy Zero gone, it becomes very refreshing. Dino and Co felt uneasy due to being observed so much. In either case, escaping was already impossible. Dino and Co give up and go to the other side. Hey, isn't that guy is super strict? Who do he think he is? That's right. Ordering us self-importantly, to be frank, I hate it. Why did you do exactly what he told you to do, Dino? Right. Dino, please beat that guy. Yeah. If you kill that guy, we will cooperate so it will not be exposed Veldasama, you know. That guy you mention, is Zero you know, so Dino thought while laughing vaguely to dodge the issue. There's no way to not be exposed, and to be honest, it's troublesome. With this and that, Dino and Co arrives at the 70th floor. However, that place is naturally empty. As expected, Adalman has gone to the battlefield. It would be troublesome if that guy remained here, aren't we lucky? Dino thinks positively. Pico and Garasha also agree and then they go ahead. However, even below floor 71th, no enemies appear. Isn't this strange? This place should be the paradise of the insect-type monster though. When Dino says his doubt. Ho 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 ho. You came, Dino. You had betrayed me not long ago, I will make you regret it now. Ramirez's loud laughter echoed in the surroundings. Suddenly, the structure of the floor changes. And then 4 shadows appeared. Gable, Gerudo, Beretta, and then Zijin. Those 4 are the one who appear to meet Dino and co. TCH. They come out as expected. Dino looked up above and saw Zijin. Dino, you guys are only 3 people. Ramirez asked Dino. In Dino's eyes who looking at Ramirez who waiting for answer, he saw Ramirez being projected with stereoscopic imaging. She does such elaborate action for weird stuff. Oh well whatever, so he sighs. One person is late due to his business. So, Dino replied indifferently. Besides him and nodding, Ramirez drops a bombshell statement. Well then, Dino's opponents are Zijin and Beretta. So, what did she say? Dino fails to understand it. But, when her words reach his brain, he understands the meaning. Don't joke around, you idiot. Like hell I could win. Dino's scream who understands the meaning of Ramirez's words echoed inside the labyrinth. 1 for those who didn't realize what Ramirez doing, she's doing Gendo pose. 2 meant for those who went outside Tempest and not present and defending Tempest from the start like Gable and Gerudo. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 228 Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 3. They were slowly coming to an agreement, ignoring Dino's scream. Thinking that, at this rate, it won't turn out good, Dino started speaking of the plan he just thought up. Wait, how about this? A knockout competition? Let's fight 1 by 1 and decide the outcome. How about it? To Dino, this was his last resort. Being told by Zero to buy them some time, he had to be persistent somehow. If a fight breaks out in this situation, in 8 or 9 cases out of 10, it will end in Dino's defeat. Rather, if one were to speak of Dino individually, he probably wouldn't last a few minutes. This isn't funny at all. If those 2 are my opponent, I won't even be able to achieve my biggest goal, to stay alive. He had to have his way here some way or the other, that was what Dino thought. If they were to fight 1 by 1, it would buy him time and moreover, if things go well for him, Zero's preparations will be done by the time his turn comes up. But even still, nobody would listen to an insect like me normally. After all, it would be too convenient for me. Dino thought that it would be impossible after all but... Yep, okay. That is better for us too so. Oi. Oops. Ignore that. It's nothing worth thinking about. And so, Gable, will be going first then. Benimaru and Ramirez were having a questionable conversation. Looks like the other party was also looking to buy time but even then, the situation was favorable for Dino. So far so good. Looks like luck is on my side. And like this, without even inquiring into Ramirez's conversation, he was honestly happy that his suggestion was accepted. And as such, the fight had started in the form of pro wrestling. The first 2 to fight were Gable and Pico. The fight had turned into an aerial one as the 2 moved about in 3 dimensions. Their weapons also resembled closely, being spears, and the fight was going on well. Wait a minute, this guy, his abilities have increased abnormally, haven't they? Pico was astonished deep down. Compared to when they had about before, he had gotten so tough that it felt as if it was a different person. His abilities were drawing near that of Pico's close to that of an awakened Demon King level. Although she had her doubts, Pico properly gauged the situation. And like that, they went on intensely fighting mid-air for a while. Pico had confirmed Gable's growth and wasn't underestimating him anymore as someone below her. After a while into testing each other's strength, it looked like they decided to go all out. Both Gable's Black Flame Breath and Black Thunder Breath didn't work against Pico. Neither did Pico's Black Thunder Heaven break, Black Thunder and Divine Victory Punishment, Heaven's Judgment work against Gable. Pico's Divine Victory Punishment, Heaven's Judgment is actually a very troublesome ability, inflicting all the damage the user has done to their previous opponents to the target. However, Gable sealed that ability using his ultimate gift, Pyro Star, the frivolous, Rewrite Fate. Even Pico couldn't hide her surprise anymore. You dash. Are you kidding me? Why don't you die? This is ridiculous. Rude. Are you that discontent with me not dying? But, I also have my reasons for which I can't afford to lose. Forgive me, little girl. Although he had gone and said that, inside, Gable was dripping with sweat. After all, he had suddenly used his trump card, Rewrite Fate. Judging from the fact that that ability, which automatically negates any kind of damage and can only be used once a day, had activated automatically means he would have definitely died from that attack. If she were to use that ability once again, it would definitely result in Gable losing his life. However, Pico was also in a state of confusion. Pico was being wary of Gable and had used her strongest attack, as well. That guy, it is ominous how he still looks to have that much leeway. He stayed composed while getting hit by my attack and it doesn't seem like he took any damage. This is troubling. If that didn't work, I don't really have a decisive attack anymore. And well, like that, she was also troubled inside. But in reality, Pico did have spare energy, but as long as none of her attacks work, the fight will have to be decided by close-range combat. She thought that if it comes to that, it would take up too much time. If that happens, no matter how much Dino is making a gamble to buy time, the recovery won't be able to make it in time, Pico concluded. This is the enemy's territory. Although they were having a one-on-one, the situation wasn't equal. As long as Pico and the others don't have more reserve strength, it wouldn't mean a thing even if they were to win. It would be dangerous to consume it all here. There's no guarantee Ramirez and the others will hold their end of the promise, and there's also a substitute on standby at the back. She also thought of the possibility that if she were to go all out poorly, she might also be done in immediately by some hidden enemy. It was reckless to attack with just us three in the first place. Dino can't be relied on either. She glanced at her ally, Dino, but maybe because it wasn't his turn yet, Dino was relaxing while watching them. That idiot, he really thinks it is not his matter. Anger filled Pico's heart. From the start, it would be fine if they were just able to buy some time for Zero. Thinking that, Pico abandoned thinking of the future. I will decide this with my next move. Just how I would want it. Seeing how both of them didn't have any flexibility, both decided on settling the fight with their hidden techniques. Fallen Angel Final Spear, Fallen Spear. True, Dragon Whirlwind Spear, Dragonic Vortex. The two clashed. And at an instance, got blown away. As if to demonstrate the destructiveness of those powers, both of them were hurled back and crashed into the ground, without even being able to defend themselves. Alright, over. And the result is, DRAW. And with Ramirez's announcement, the first battle was over. The result was a draw, but it seems like there was a big difference in the breakdown. Gable had wounds all over his body and was unable to continue the fight. In contrast, Pico was only pretending to have taken huge damage. Oi. What, did you hold back at the end? Ah, you could tell? Well, after all, if I don't leave some strength for later, I can't escape from here, can I? I see. Looks like you have realized my objective, huh? Isn't it obvious? You, how long do you think we have been together? I can see straight through you. Okie. Then it's fine. It's stupid hanging out with Zero's suicidal plan, so we will escape with the opportunity, so keep your eyes open. Got it. It also looks like Gracia has noticed, so she will probably buy some time too against that tough guy, I think. Really? That would help. To be honest, my opponent is really no joke. That Zijin dude is seriously bad news. Really, I want to just escape right this moment, you know? That guy probably won't get a joke either. Well, do your best, I guess? It depends on how hard Gracia tries, though. Such a conversation was taking place between Dino and Pico while Gracia was making her way to the battlefield. Pico ended the fight with energy to spare. Dino also believed that was for the best. Dino was also wondering if it was okay put trust on Zero. In this situation, it could be said that Pico's choice was correct. Alright then, you probably can't be at ease but rest for now. I will take you up on that. Pico started resting and Dino looked towards Gracia. Letting out a sigh, Dino concentrated on the next battle. The second fight was between Gerudo and Gracia. As this was a battle between two parties excelling in defense, it wouldn't be as flashy but it will surely turn out to be a fight between experts with solid ability. Against Gerudo's meat crusher and huge shield, Gracia was equipped with an orthodox longsword and a round shield. After having evolved, Gerudo's abilities to fight individually had also gone up. Although he has his eyes set mostly on defense, he has quite some offensive abilities as well. However, as there was a need to gather up strength for a while to use it, it wouldn't hit Gracia. In the first place, Gerudo's ultimate skill, Gourmet King Beelzebub, is an army scale ability. It is on the complete opposite side of individual skills. It is an ability to raise the standards of his allies. And as such, it became equal to Gracia's all-purpose type defensive ability. Compared to Pico, Gracia had a good balance of offense. On top of equal defensive skill, she had stronger offensive skills than Gerudo. It was supposed to be Gracia's unrivaled battlefield of overwhelming advantage. However, you bastard, blocking every single one of my attacks. I can't be underestimating. Even so, I am someone who has received the title of Barrier Lord from Rimuru-sama. Know that you will not be able to go past my defense. With masterful abilities, Gerudo beautifully blocked Gracia's attacks. And that wasn't all. In contrast to Gracia, who was supposed to be excelling in offense, Gerudo's attacks were gradually accumulating damage to Gracia. Having lived for a long time, Gracia had built up a mountain's worth of experience, but when speaking of the density of this experience, Gerudo was also not losing. Although he didn't quite stand out in Tempest, Gerudo had never slacked off and always trained his skills. His abilities had now reached the top tier. To the point he could rival Albert in terms of defense. And, even his attacks, comprising of big movements and weak spots, were also traps to lure in the enemy. As expected of Gracia, she had seen through that and didn't try to attack carelessly. I was thinking of buying some time, but I don't think I have the leeway to be holding back anymore. Gracia praised Gerudo on the inside. And just like Gracia had predicted, the battle turned into a deadlock naturally and slowly became plain. As mentioned above, their fight was truly wonderful from the eyes of an expert. However, from the perspective of an amateur, it was extremely boring. I am already tired of this. A small child muttered selfishly in the control room. Gerudo and Gracia's fight was truly simple, without any ultimate moves or magic. It was nothing near interesting to a child, who couldn't read the level of skill between the two experts. Hey, let's just call this a draw and start the next match? Isn't it time to torment Dino a bit? Are you stupid? Don't you also need to buy time, Ramirez-sama? Benimaru retorted to Ramirez's foolish idea. Seems like it was starting to become a pain for Benimaru to use honorifics against Ramirez, as his tone was starting to sound quite vague. He was quite a bit vague from the start, but it seems like he doesn't even care now. Hey, Vice Commander. I need you to call me the best commander. But yeah, I guess you have a point. Well then, I don't mind, let them continue. Yes, and then? How does the progress rate look now? Let's see, the progress has crossed 90%. In just a bit, our preparations will be complete. And his encroachment seems to be at 70%. Cause we started preparing after having Rimuru think, we will easily reach our goal. Alright, that's good. Then, we just need to wait a bit more. Benimaru and Ramirez nodded at each other. As Ramirez looked satisfied, Benimaru turned to face the screen again. Benimaru was thinking it was preposterous to stop this fight. Gable's fight just now was so disappointing that Hakura and Ajira even said that it's confirmed that he must go through training once again. But, Gerudo's fighting style was wonderful. Benimaru, unlike Ramirez, liked this kind of fights between experts and was entranced by it. It seems like Gracia was above in terms of ability, but Gerudo's strenuous efforts to fill in that gap was amazing. And thus, the tension of the fight had reached the climax. The end was near. Gerudo and Gracia kept clashing intensely with their weapons. The momentum had accelerated and the fight was not even close to being plain anymore. Due to the heat caused by the reciprocation of overwhelmingly strong strikes, with each stroke of sword, the ground teared up and the atmosphere turned chaotic, creating large gusts of wind. Captivating everyone watching, the two continued their fight as if they were dancing. And then came a moment of silence. Everyone present there thought that the next attack will be deciding the fate of the battle. However, as I thought, that withdrawal was an act, huh? I didn't think an attack like that would be able to go past your defense, but... I didn't have that much of a leeway, but your attack wasn't that strong to make me withdraw. Besides, we won't withdraw without orders. Everything will be as Rimuru-sama wills. Phew. So I was the one being cornered, eh? Looks like I had lost before the fight even began. Very well. I have lost this time. I want to withdraw here, will you accept? Standing facing each other, Gracia offered to forfeit. Gerudo became perplexed, as it was unexpected to him. Okay. Then, the winner is Gerudo. Now, Dino, come out. I haven't forgotten your poor behavior towards me the other time. Now it's my turn to thoroughly crush you. Without paying any heed to Gerudo, Ramorous' heavenly voice declared the result of the battle. Although it seemed like Ramorous' personal desires had mixed with the announcement there, but the decision had been made. It was a godsend for Ramorous, as she was bored, but Benimaru was disappointed. Seems like Benimaru also doesn't have any complaints since the other party declared their withdrawal themselves. Is that okay? I felt like you didn't quite go all out yet, though. I don't mind. You have also just evolved and don't seem like you can perfectly use those abilities yet. I would like to decide once and for all at a place both of us can truly go all out. Gerudo and Gracia exchanged glances and smiled at each other. And like this, the second battle had also come to an end. As she returned to Dino, Gracia muttered. This is bad, Dino. That guy has also become absurdly strong. I would have had trouble even if I went all out, no doubt. I probably wouldn't have lost if I went all out, but I would have exhausted all my energy and would have not been able to participate in any more battles. Right? As there seems to be more strong ones here, exhausting all of your energy is the same as suicide. Pico is right. You also be careful, alright? Yeah, got it. Saying that, Dino advanced forward. However, his steps felt heavy. Or rather, isn't Ramorous just aiming for me here? Telling me to not exhaust all my energy? It isn't like I will be doing that cause I want to. I am also reluctantly going to fight. Alright, while fighting Gerudo, I should buy some time slowly. Ah, Gerudo. You're tired, right? You can withdraw. Dino was thinking of something unfair, but looks like Ramorous had beat him to the punch. Gerudo meekly decided to withdraw and tapped out with Zijin and Beretta. Darn it all. You saw through my plan. Although he was complaining in his heart, he couldn't do anything about this situation. The enemy were Beretta and Zijin. To be completely honest, they weren't some enemy Dino could win against. There, he suddenly thought up a plan. Ah, right. I will also withdraw. Busts. Rejected. However, that plan was flatly rejected by Ramorous. Having the look of a dead man, Dino faced Zijin and Beretta. And then suddenly, a small doubt came to his mind. Did that Zijin guy have that little energy? Dino could grasp that change, as he had fought him once before. However, Dino didn't have the time to be thinking about such a thing. The time of his fate which he had been trying to prolong had announced its beginning. Darn it. That Zero. Hurry up. You can't come complaining to me if you don't make it in time. Or rather, it would be Dino who will be in trouble if Zero doesn't make it, though. Letting out a sigh, Dino reluctantly took his stance. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 229 Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 4 At that moment, Ramirez muttered silently. Ah, the isolation has been completed. Suddenly, as if it was a trifling matter. Hearing that, the surrounding people started moving hurriedly. At the same time, Benimaru too. Did you hear, you fools? From this point on, the labyrinth's support effects are absent there. You won't be resurrected if you die, so brace yourselves. Rimuru-sama won't permit any of you dying, so act accordingly. He sent a thought transmission to all the allies intercepting Dino and the others on the 75th floor. Everything was going according to plan. Everyone who received the transmission showed no signs of unrest, they accepted it as completely natural. And then, hearing that transmission, there was one who began their action. Quietly and precisely. The plan had entered the final phase. Zero was gradually progressing the labyrinth's encroachment. Absorption rate had crossed 90%. There was no feeling of joy in him, what pushed him forward was just the fact that accomplishing the task given to him was of utmost importance. If the enemy gains immortality inside the labyrinth, they should just get rid of it. That was Velda's plan, and that is precisely why the ultimate skill, Evil Dragon Lord Azadahaka, existed. It was an ability originally created to counter the labyrinth, an ability which can exhibit supreme dominance in an area. On top of that, it wasn't something incomplete like the ones given to Vega or Footman, with all the battle data up till now, it was the complete version. In front Aji Dahaka, which had turned into an ability close to the one who eats planets, even Ramirez Labyrinth couldn't resist and ended up being trampled over by Zero. Less resistance than I had expected, eh? I guess that is also natural. Nobody would even be able to imagine an attack to the labyrinth directly. By snatching away the enemy's base itself, I will purge these fools who sit cross-legged in their territory of absolute dominance. That will lure out Demon King Rimuru and we can take down all their forces at once. As expected of Velda-sama. It is a perfect plan. Abiding by Velda's plan, he steadily went on encroaching in the enemy's base, the labyrinth. If he just takes away the labyrinth from them, he will also be able to grasp all authority inside the labyrinth. Foolish. He ended up saying out unintentionally. He wasn't expecting a reply or anything but, don't be so full of yourself. Know that the likes of you will not be able to drop this labyrinth. In the empty space, a cold voice resounded. No, there was something. Zero's consciousness caught on to something that would normally be impossible to detect. It was one butterfly. A butterfly with a beautiful light was fluttering in the sky. And then, the butterfly's silhouette became hazy and slowly took the form of a person. Into a warrior's shape protected by jet black adamantite. Who is it? Floors above 60 are under my rule. I did not feel anyone invading. Simple. I have been here from the start, that's all there is to it. I see. That was a blind spot. You might have lived if you kept yourself hidden till the end. But, in the end, it's only a matter of sooner or later. Become my food and die. Zero thought that the small boy had come revealing himself because he was scared of being trapped inside. Zero didn't realize that the boy's words sounded like he had realized Zero's plans. The encroachment of the labyrinth was going steadily with the rate over 90%. Turning the energy of the labyrinth into his inexhaustible supply, he would be able to create as many evil dragon beasts as he liked. The few dragons he created all went towards their prey at once and disappeared with a flash of light. How? To be able to bury my dragons so easily. So you're not just a scaredy cat who was hiding. I am Zero, the one commanding the Heaven's army to destroy this country. I will acknowledge you as an opponent to be defeated. State your name. Judging from the fact that he didn't come attacking Zero during the time Zero was taking the 60th floor, Zero was still underestimating his opponent. Thinking that if this guy was to obstruct him, he could have done it way before. However, the being standing in front of Zero possessed combat ability far higher than what Zero assumed. After all, that being is. My name is, Zijin. Humble servant of the great demon lord, Rimuru-sama. I have been crowned with the name Mist Lord. The strongest man, who defends Ramirez Labyrinth. Following orders, Zijin faced Zero. The labyrinth, which they should protect. Zijin will not forgive anyone who stains the labyrinth. And as such, it was inevitable. And that is how Zijin and Zero's fight had begun. The reason why Zijin didn't attack in the first place was evident. Because he had heard that it was Remuru's orders. If it was not so, he wouldn't have stayed silent and let this invasion go on. Yes, although rare, Zijin was angry. Zijin? That's a name I haven't heard. I guess you are one of the upper echelons of Demon Lord Rimuru? Diablo, Benimaru, Shin, Gobuta, and Ranga. And Beretta, was it? There's also Sui, Gable, and Gerudo who are famous. If you were one of them, I might have enjoyed this fight a bit. Zero boasted, confident of his overwhelming superiority. However, it didn't take long for him to realize that that was just his misconception. Idiotic. If your enemy is in front of you, you should look at them and judge their strength. However, I guess you're correct about just one point, that you won't be able to enjoy this fight. Comprehending the meaning of Zijin's reply, Zero made an uninterested face. It's not that Zijin's had much feelings, he wanted his enemies to think that he did. He slowly stood up and took his stance. Are you sure you should have waited for my preparations to be complete? Your confidence probably lies on the labyrinth's absolute immortality. But can you really say that that is guaranteed to work? Because you have the guarantee of reviving even if you lose is the reason you can challenge others to a fight without even caring about the difference in strength. I shall teach you, that way of thinking is wrong. Because. That was all he could say. Zero's aim was to unsettle Zijin by letting him know that he had taken away the labyrinth's immortality, but Zero couldn't achieve that goal. Because Zijin had already reached the limit of his patience. Death to the beings who pollute the labyrinth. That was the imperial command given to Zijin by Rimuru, it was his meaning to life. Although he had heard and understood the explanation from Benimaru, about how their plan was to let the enemy take a part of the labyrinth, he couldn't stay calm tolerating it. The act of polluting the labyrinth was the same as infuriating him. As Ramorous preparations were complete and a part of the labyrinth's isolation was done, there was no need for him to endure it any more whatsoever. Zijin released his feelings of anger and sealed Zero's words. Receiving an intense impact, Zero stumbled. He didn't quite receive any damage as he immediately thrust his shield forward, but he still couldn't cancel out the intense momentum. The impact was due to Zijin's kick. He had closed the gap between them in a moment and the origin of the attack could be seen from his raised leg. He then slowly lowered his leg while keeping Zero in his sight. You're tough. Shall I make it a bit stronger next time? As he said that, Zijin disappeared. Zijin's super-fast movements slipped through Zero's perception. Thanks to the combat training inside the labyrinth, his fighting techniques were evolving day by day. By combining many different abilities, especially space-time control, he had devised his own hand-to-hand fighting technique. Being able to grasp that Zijin's movement the first time is close to an impossible task. By activating his ultimate skill, Master Shield, Zero was able to escape danger narrowly. Even if it's an attack which can't be seen, it doesn't hold any meaning in front of Zero's ultimate defense. His shield abided by his will and blocked off all the attacks. While being protected by that absolute defense, Zero reflected upon his underestimation of that being called Zijin. To think someone as strong as this still existed. Demon Lord Rimuru, can't underestimate him. But Zero was confident that his master, Velda's prediction is correct without a doubt. There's no way a Demon Lord, who has this strong of an underling, would die right off the bat. While thinking that, he also analyzed Zijin's abilities. He could predict that Zijin was probably a spiritual life form from his overwhelming mobility. Because someone who is a slave to the flesh can't move like that. However, even if that were so, it wasn't like Zero had no ways to attack. His hand-to-hand combat is wonderful. But, that's all. Just someone who attacks recklessly. There is no way he could break through Zero's defense. That's how Zero evaluated Zijin and lost interest. It was so interesting. I shall show you my power, as respect for letting me have a little fun. Eat this, Zero Field Wave. Zero released with absolute confidence, the wave of annihilation. It was a wave which turns all waves, meaning the frequency of all kinds of energy, to zero. That also applied to living beings, and angels or demons weren't any exception either. In fact, the higher the level of energy the being possesses, the stronger the wave's effect will be. Although, it was necessary for the user to have equal or more energy than the one they use it on. Zero possessed even more energy than an awakened demon lord. Even when compared to the 4 heavenly kings, he possessed more energy than every one of them, except Daggerul. Zero Field Wave was the strongest attack Zero could use, with all his energy. Even if it's Zijin, in front of that sure kill attack. Futile. That is an attack which converts one's own energy to waves, am I correct? It was splendid how it adjusts to match the targets, cancelling out frequency immediately, but at the end, it's just an auto-adjustment. I see that it is of the same fundamentals as your auto-defense. An attack of that level won't work on me. He was about to confirm the effects of his sure kill attack of annihilation, but seeing Zijin stand there, unwounded, Zero felt anxiety for the first time. Impossible, you understood its theory with a glance. Not only that, to negate Zero Field Wave, which turns all living beings' pulse to zero. Ridiculous. It's also a wave, that negates another wave. If so, all I need to do is wrap it up. Not opposing the flow and identifying with it is, in fact, the truth of the universe. It's dreamy and simply elegant. To me, seeing through your wave was nothing but a trivial task. You would be nothing more than trash to Rimuru-sama or Felderu-sama. The moment Zero used his ability to convert his energy into waves, Zijin had used Illusion King Mephisto to create an illusionary world. The world, in which even the flow of time can be distorted by Zijin's will, by his imagination. With this ability, it was no trouble for Zijin to ascertain Zero's annihilation wave and deal with it. Koog. But, just because you blocked my attack, it doesn't mean a thing since your attacks don't have any effect on me. Zero decided on prioritizing the labyrinth's encroachment instead of attacking Zijin. He thought that it would be possible to trap Zijin in the labyrinth's infinite hallway after taking the labyrinth's power. However, the charade downstairs should also be over by now. I shall also end this. Not paying any heed to Zero's calculations, Zijin simply followed his own feelings. In other words, he striked Zero with his fist in anger. An attack like that won't work, I say. Zero was just about to say it won't work, but he was cut off in the middle. Following Zijin's imagination, the core of Zero's absolute defense, his shield, Zero, was broken. Wadash. Impossible, this can't be. An impossible scene had developed before Zero's eyes, which broke all sort of common sense. Each and every shield, Zero, he kept making to block Zijin's fierce attacks kept getting destroyed. Only the afterglow of Zijin's armor could be seen as he attacked Zero from all directions. Getting a premonition of danger, Zero deployed Master Shield with full energy. It's futile. Your abilities probably boast absolute strength in the material world. However, in the spiritual world, it is meager. And because of that, it turns out like this. Zijin's right hand shone. All the shields, Zero, protecting Zero's body got destroyed clean off by Zijin's Dimension Ray. But, I somehow endured his attack. Breathing heavily, the moment he thought that, Zijin disappeared like the mist and kicked him from behind, piercing through him. Go AA. Zijin had charged the kick with waves. The annihilation wave Zero used on Zijin just a while ago was thrown back at him. But Zero dealt with it immediately and stopped it to the point a part of his energies got annihilated. The way he dealt with it was wonderful. However, Zero had also perceived that he had reached a situation where it didn't even matter. The despairingly huge difference in strength between Zero and Zijin. That wasn't due to a difference in energy, it was due to the difference in their levels. Zijin's left fist started releasing a dull-colored glow. Zero realized his defeat in a moment and took the best possible action he could there. In other words, escape. I don't have enough power to fight with that monster. I will take this labyrinth, and by eating the prey on the lower levels, I will. Zero promptly assimilated his body with the labyrinth and headed towards the lower floors. Right after, he lost connection with the part of his body which he abandoned. It was exterminated by Zijin. Not having felt anything like this before, which he was experiencing the first time after being born, Zero accelerated the encroachment of the labyrinth. He was trapped by the compulsive idea that he was being chased by something. And then, his absorption of the labyrinth was over and he got hold of the labyrinth's power. He could then feel a large energy inside his body, in the inner portions of the labyrinth. Zero was delighted and moved forward towards the prey to strengthen himself. Zijin pulled back his left hand and glanced towards the lower floors. Confirming Zero's escape just as planned, he muttered, "Mission accomplished." Just like Benimaru and Ramirez had requested, he cornered and let Zero escape. Everything is as Rimuru-sama pleases. Rimuru's profound strategy was something Zijin couldn't think of. Zijin, who had thought of it like that, felt no need to think any further. All that's left is to prepare for the single possibility in 1,000 of the plan failing. Zijin quietly started walking towards the hole to the lower floors his attack had created. At the control room, everyone was lost for words. It hadn't even been 3 minutes since Zijin started moving. But still, the report came in easily that the mission was completed. Maybe because they had isolated the labyrinth that the fight scenes couldn't be displayed on the big screen. And as such, they couldn't do anything other than imagine what kind of a battle had taken place, but one thing they were sure of was that it was surely overpowering. As I thought, he probably didn't like the plan of letting them encroach the labyrinth. Right. Looks like Zijin was seriously pissed. We should be glad he let him live according to the plan. Well, that's of course because Zijin is calm unlike you. Well, if I hadn't spoken of Rimuru's name, he probably wouldn't even listen. Yeah. He probably wouldn't have listened to my orders either, so I think it was right to speak of Rimuru. Right? But I still didn't think he would be this pissed. That's true. Saying that, the two of them nodded. As if to agree with the both of them, everyone in the control room were also nodding. But, why did Rimuru-sama give such an order? Shana asked, which was rare of her. The one who answered that was. You will probably understand if you keep watching. Ramirez. In that moment, at that place, Ramirez was the only one who realized the reason behind such an intricate order. Even Benimaru didn't completely realize the essence of the order. Or rather, maybe only Zijin had realized. Everyone in the control room could only nod to Ramirez's words. In a short while, the plan inside the labyrinth would welcome its end. Even without hurrying, the result will be clear in a while. Preparing for that moment, all of them started their work once again. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 230 Labyrinth's Encroachment Part 5. Dino begrudgingly made his way forward. Now he was face to face with Beretta and Zijin. The three of them stared at each other for a moment. Well then, begin. Ramirez shouted gleefully, and the fight began. Unlike Pico and Gracia, Dino had no particular love for battle. Or more accurately, he found it to be too much trouble and mostly just hated it. He was really only doing it for lack of alternatives. Dino could not wait to get this all over with. However, his opponent would now allow it to be so easy. He had thought that he'd lightly evaded Beretta's unleashed fist, but the swinging arm ignored any notion of structure and rammed into him. It had twisted around like a snake, transforming freely. He looked like a human, but was ignoring the rest. Besides, wasn't he supposed to have the body of a doll? He has completely assimilated with it. In just one moment of offensive and defensive battle, Dino had seen through what made Beretta dangerous. He was almost a different person from when he had fought him before. He had beaten him easily that time, but things were clearly not going to be the same now. But really, this was too much growth for such a short amount of time. Not only Gable and Gerudo but now even Beretta. On top of all this, Zijin was still waiting nearby. The situation was now bad enough for Dino to want to give up. It was probably because he was leisurely analyzing such things that he did not immediately notice that the ground beneath his feet was turning into a swamp. Oh, damn. He thought, but it was already too late. Dino's feet had been sucked into the ground. This was due to an earth element attack from Beretta. Hey. You didn't have such abilities before, did you? Is that right? Well, I do now. Now the ground was up to his knees as he continued to sink, but that was not even the end of it. The ground started to solidify, it had changed into a liquid metal. It had become fetters that would be difficult to escape with strength alone. Dino was captured. As Dino had only been cautious of Zijin, this growth from Beretta was completely unexpected. He had planned to disable Beretta first and then take on Zijin, but it was clear that the situation would no longer allow it. As he was thinking this, Zijin attacked. The fists that shot out were as fast and sharp as ever. Dino could not move his legs and had no way to dodge the attacks. He attempted a parry with his left arm. Piercing. It was a surprisingly light blow. No, too light. It was not a blow, but there was a pain that reached to the depths of his soul. Ouch. Dino screamed at the intense pain. He was a spiritual life form, which meant that he, of course, had pain immunity. But even then, Dino's soul was howling out in pain as if to mock him. Yo dash, you. You're not Zijin? You tricked me. Hee hee, you fool. It is your own fault for allowing yourself to be tricked. Did you think that there was any merit in using normal attacks on someone who has raised their anti-damage resistance? However, since you stayed cautious of Zijin's attacks, it made it much easier for my own to get through. Unexpected attacks tend to pack quite a punch, don't they? Zijin, no. Apito, who had turned into Zijin through the use of his powers, answered with a laugh. And with that, she transformed into a beautiful insect model devil. It was very unlikely that the instant death effect would work, but the severe pain effect, which was one rank lower, seemed to be potent. Had he been able to foresee the attack and resist it, then he may have been able to curb the effect. But now that it had hit him once, the second time would be impossible to resist. This was all due to Apito's ability, anaphylaxis shock. Now that Dino had been hit by it once, it was as if he had been robbed completely of his ability to resist it. That's dirty. It was cowardly enough for you to attack as a pair, but now you would even do something so low as this. Silence. There is no such thing as fair play in warfare. You just need to win, if you lose then you die. That is the ironclad rule. Apito roared back as Dino shouted. Her belief that victory meant everything did not allow Dino much room to protest. Even Beretta seemed to be a little put off by Apito's extreme logic. Arno and the others that weren't present would have probably brushed it off and said, think of it as a kindness that she at least put it into words. But for those who were not used to being around Apito, this came as somewhat of a shock. Generally, Apito was very quiet in front of Zijin. But now that she was here to represent Zijin, she seemed to be very excited. There was really no one who could stop her now. A sadistic smile cracked on her face as she raised her beautiful hand towards Dino. Wait dash, let's wait a moment. Okay. Let's calm down and talk. You'll understand if we talk. I think people can come to understand each other. Ah, that may be true. Now, die. Dino's suggestion was mixed with screaming. Apito gave him a benevolent smile. And while wearing that smile, she stabbed once. Ouch. Wait dash, I'm serious, just wait. This hurts. This really hurts, you know. Dino screamed through tear-filled eyes. He wanted to run, but his feet were firmly imprisoned. It was impossible. Hoo ho ho ho. Not so cocky now, Dino? What should I do? If you cry and say that you are sorry, I may just forgive you. Dino was screaming from the severe pain as Ramiris addressed him through her own laughter. Are you telling me that I must betray Velda? Oh? Wasn't that rather quick for you? That is exactly right. Are you stupid? How could I ever do that? Humph. Can't you? Why not? I have a question for you, Dino. Why do you serve him? You, why? Well, it's because one can't go against Veldanava, can one? Dino, think carefully about it. Veldanava and Velda are different, did you not know? Huh? Of course, that's common knowledge. Common knowledge? No, wait. Velda is Veldanava, right? Dino felt a sense of unease with this conversation with Ramiris. He felt a contradiction in his words. He had to stop and think. Well, never mind. In any case, since you did betray such a pure heart as mine, I must make you regret your actions for a while. Now, finish him off. Beretta and Apito. Dino's screams echoed. Ultimately, Dino was not given any time to think slowly. He would be forced to suffer through Apito's successive attacks. Ramirez' delighted laughter echoed in the control room. Apparently torturing Dino had given her a great sense of relief. She was now staring at the large screen and wearing an incredibly satisfied look on her face. Well, perhaps I'll forgive him right about now. Aren't you going a little too far? It's fine, it's fine. Dino is a lot tougher than you think. Benimaru sighed as he asked the question, but Ramirez just brushed it aside. One of her main objectives had been to get revenge on Dino, so this was one thing that she would not back down on. But, I do wonder. This guy named Zero, do you think that he will really move like Rimuru said he would? Judging by the way Velda had cut down Kazarim? I don't doubt it. I see, then Velda isn't Veldanava after all. Dino wasn't aware of this either. Can you believe that he thinks he is cunning and can't be fooled by anyone? What an idiot. Well, yes. Benimaru realized there was a bit of himself in Ramirez' words. He nodded back to her with a little regret. He would try to shift the conversation to something else. In any case, Zijin never ceases to impress me. It was almost too easy. Had they seriously wanted to ambush them, they could have sent Zijin and the other labyrinth guards to press an attack without giving Zero a chance to encroach on the labyrinth. Everyone in the control room had thought this. And the reason that they had opted for a much more elaborate scheme instead, was because Rimuru had ordered it. The current strategy was something that Benimaru and Ramirez had talked about and decided together, after hearing Rimuru's predictions of Velda's battle strategy for invading the labyrinth. Well, Zero encroached on the labyrinth and usurped its authority, just like Rimuru had predicted. Of course. It is unthinkable that Rimuru's predictions could be wrong. Shana nodded proudly at Ramirez's mutterings. The next prediction is about what move Zero will take. After assimilating with the labyrinth, it should be quite difficult to maintain his sense of self, don't you think? Something like that. Yes. He isolated over half of the divisions of my labyrinth. Who knows what will happen if he absorbs all of that? To be honest, it's one thing to slowly soak it in and encroach, but assimilating all at once will most likely make one lose their mind. I see. And what did Lord Rimuru have to say? In short, he said that Zero would surely encroach on the labyrinth. So Rimuru wants us to isolate parts of the labyrinth to make the bait easier to see. When this happens, he wasn't sure if Zero would be able to stay sane, but he believes it will have some effect on him. And so we had Zijin attack as soon as the labyrinth had been isolated. It wasn't a matter of there being an effect or not. We would ensure that there was an effect. Lord Rimuru was a little worried about having Zero and Zijin face each other, but Zijin seemed quite enthusiastic about it. Yes, yes. Though Zijin ended up having an easier time with it than we had expected. I understand all of that. And so, what did Lord Rimuru say? Ramirez and Benimaru both helped to answer Shana's question, but they seemed reluctant to explain the most important part. Perhaps she had felt annoyed by this because Shana asked them again in a harsher tone. Yes. He said, maybe we will be able to see his true nature. Indeed. Not so much Zero's true nature, but Velda's, I think. Ramirez and Benimaru answered. In other words, once Zero had assimilated with the labyrinth, he would gain absolute superiority over any enemies that were inside. And if this happened, was it not likely that he would not differentiate from friend or foe and launch attacks at them all? That was Rimuru's prediction. On top of that, with Benimaru's strategy, Zijin had planted a sense of fear in Zero's heart. Zero would surely want power in order to defeat Zijin then. The general outline of the plan Benimaru made was based on the assumption that it would prey on anything it saw, regardless of it being friend or foe. That's why we made sure to have everyone retreat before Zero's assimilation with the labyrinth reached 100%. A Zero who was so consumed by fear and a thirst for power would attack Dino and the others without a doubt. That it. By the way, he just passed 98%, so it should be any moment now. Is that so? Lord Rimuru was right, as expected. But then, what will happen if Zero is able to keep his sense of reasoning? If that happens, We will just toss the entire isolated labyrinth into the infinite loop. Everyone in the control room found this answer very satisfying. The only thing that could make this whole situation even better would be for Dino to be persuaded before Zero's encroachment was completed. But even then, Shana noticed something. It didn't seem like there was enough reason for Rimuru to have dismissed the initial plan to attack. In the first place, if you could rid the place of invaders through an assault, then there was no reason to have Zero attack Dino. In that case, what was Lord Rimuru's true purpose? She looked at the excited Ramirez and came to a certain conclusion. I see. He doesn't want to have Dino killed. Rimuru and Dino had joked around and been friendly. And Ramirez? They had last separated as enemies, but perhaps Rimuru had still not wanted to kill Dino. She wasn't sure if it was because Ramirez had asked him, or if it was his own will, but Shana was convinced that the truth was along those lines. Well, it would explain Ramirez's attitude quite a lot. She could now understand why they had gone out of their way for this more elaborate plan. And so there was nothing left now, but to wait for the result. What would Dino do? What would Zero? Regardless of which direction things fell, everything would be in the palm of Lord Rimuru's hand. Shana nodded with satisfaction and moved her gaze back to the large screen. In actuality, Rimuru had not been thinking so deeply when giving out the orders. The only thing he had really ordered was to be wary of an encroachment of the labyrinth, which he had been able to predict through the finished Aji Dahaka ability. Also, he told them of his prediction for Zero's movements and ordered them to reduce any casualties. That was all. It was completely beyond any expectations of Rimuru, that Zijin would push Zero so far. And one more thing. Just like Shana had noticed, it regarded the treatment of Dino. For this, he had not said anything to Benimaru and consulted with Ramirez alone. Ultimately, he had decided to leave everything to her. Ramirez and Benimaru finished their explanations at about the same time that Zero was finishing his rapid assimilation with the labyrinth, after being driven by Zero. The assimilation rate is at 99%. We should call everyone back right about now. Ramirez began shouting, Benimaru barked orders. The attack unit, which had been given an explanation in advance, returned through teleportation after receiving the order. Given that there was a high possibility that a completely assimilated Zero could prevent them from teleporting out, there had been a need for them to be able to ascertain the exact moment they should leave. And their plan had succeeded. We have just now returned. Lady Ramirez. Beretta addressed her as a representative of those who had returned. Everything had gone according to schedule. Good, well done. Depending on how the enemy reacts, we plan to release the labyrinth into the infinite loop. However, in the event that we fail to accomplish this, we will have to enter an all-out war. I think that it goes without saying, that it will be incredibly dangerous to lure an enemy who has assimilated with an isolated space. In the event that we are forced to attack once again, all of you must be prepared and standing by. Everyone understood and agreed with Benimaru's words. How would Zero react? What would Dino do in turn? There was a need for them to be sure. After all, depending on the results, there was a high likelihood an intense battle would erupt. It was quite clear that there was not one person in the room who took the situation lightly. Also, it should be obvious without my having to say it, but in regards to Lord Rimuru being alive, that should remain strictly confidential. So saying, Benimaru finished his speech. It was to be expected, but they could in no way count on Rimuru to help them, and he had no intention of asking. He had accepted the order to defend the labyrinth as a supreme directive, and he would put his heart and soul into fulfilling it. This feeling was something shared by everyone who was gathered there. Just like Rimuru was searching for any movements by Velda, Velda was also probing for Rimuru. This was Rimuru's own decision and the reason that he did not return to the labyrinth. Seal had pointed out the possibility that they would wait for the moment when Rimuru would step foot in the labyrinth, and then isolate the entirety of it. It would surely be possible with Velda's abilities, she had said. Ramirez, labyrinth creation, was an ability with a high degree of freedom, but it required a connection to this world. If that was severed, the labyrinth itself would drift off between the cracks of the dimensions. Seal had been convinced that there was no reason to believe that Velda could not do this if it was possible for Rimuru to. And if it did to come to that, while it would be possible to escape, it would take a tremendous amount of time. Returning after the world had been destroyed meant that you had still been defeated. That was what Rimuru had said when explaining to Benimaru and the others. Benimaru remembered those words now and nodded deeply. Don't worry, Lord Rimuru. I will protect the labyrinth with my life. Determined, Benimaru moved his gaze back to the large screen. And so did Ramiris. Dino, that idiot. Really, what was he doing at such a critical moment? The plan was already in its final stage. Dino and the others had become a target in the trap to lure Zero out. There is a possibility that Zero will maintain his sanity and cooperate with Dino and the others. There was also the possibility that Dino and the others would accept their fate and choose to become food for Zero. But the result that Ramiris desired was nothing so boring as those possibilities. Let's act like fools together again, experiment again. Okay? Dino. That was Ramiris' wish. She believed in the plan that Rimuru had devised. She wished, as if praying, that Dino would once again become their companion. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.